Chapter 1582. Junior Brother Long, it's a good thing and a bad thing for you to help others. If you extract all the tribulation aura from the person undergoing the tribulation, I'm afraid it will damage their foundation. Even if they break through, they won't be able to gain any enlightenment from the lightning tribulation. Tiangang glanced at Ling Xiao and said slowly. When everyone heard this, they couldn't help but feel shocked. What Tiangang said wasn't impossible. If Ling Xiao's opponent was undergoing a tribulation, as long as Ling Xiao went up and extracted the tribulation chi from his opponent's tribulation, it would cause irreversible damage to his opponent's future. This move was indeed ruthless. Senior brother is right. However, you can rest assured that I will only extract the excess tribulation aura for cultivation. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Of course we believe in Junior Brother Long. Ha! Junior Brother Long, I also want to undergo the tribulation. Can you help me too? Wang Lin said with a hearty smile. Only they trusted Ling Xiao unconditionally and allowed Ling Xiao to extract the tribulation aura from their lightning tribulations. They knew that Ling Xiao would definitely not do anything that would harm them. Moreover, with Ling Xiao's protection, their tribulation was like having a protector. They did not have to worry about the danger of dying at all. They only had to face the lightning tribulation seriously. No problem. Those who want to undergo the tribulation, come one by one. Ling Xiao said with a laugh. His eyes were filled with anticipation. How much tribulation aura would he be able to collect after helping so many senior brothers and sisters undergo the tribulation? Ling Xiao had already experienced the benefits of the tribulation aura. Now, he wanted to collect as much tribulation aura as possible and refine his body. Ling Xiao's body had already reached the limit of the Divine King realm. However, if he wanted to fight with a half-saint expert, he was still not strong enough. However, after being refined by the tribulation aura, his body had almost broken through the limit of the divine way. If he used the tribulation aura to refine his body, he would probably be able to fight a half-saint expert by relying on the strength of his body alone even if his cultivation did not break through at all. Rumble. Wang Lin was also a swift and decisive person. Moreover, her cultivation had stagnated at the great perfection of the heavenly god realm for many years. Her accumulation was extremely robust. As long as she released the suppression on her cultivation, she would be able to trigger the God King tribulation instantly. In the sky, the lightning was dazzling. Thick bolts of lightning coiled around and the vast sea of lightning reappeared above War Mountain. Roar! 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 It was as if the roar of an ancient divine beast had shaken the heavens. The surrounding void was trembling violently. Bolts of lightning intertwined and covered the sky like a huge net, pressing down on Wang Lin. From the vast sea of lightning, shadows of ancient mythical beasts appeared, as if they were branded with the will of heaven and earth. Each of them was extremely ferocious, as if they wanted to tear Wang Lin into pieces. Earth-level God King tribulation. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. Although Wang Lin's talent was slightly inferior to Tiangang's, she was still able to trigger the Earth-grade God King tribulation. This meant that Wang Lin's accumulation was extremely robust, comparable to Zhou Daoji's. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. This time, he did not use the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman. Instead, he used the heaven-shrouding secret technique to shroud his aura. The surrounding heavens trembled, but no one could detect a trace of his aura. Ling Xiao approached the figure of a tiger-shaped divine beast. Streaks of chaotic light filled his palm and instantly, a trace of tribulation chi was drawn out from the figure of the divine beast. The aura of the tiger-shaped divine beast seemed to have weakened. Although it still contained a kind of destructive energy, it was much weaker than when it was first born. Wang Lin naturally tore it into pieces with ease. Rumble. Bolts of lightning shot out like a waterfall, covering Ling Xiao and Wang Lin's silhouettes. However, with Ling Xiao's help, Wang Lin managed to pass through the Divine King tribulation. Ling Xiao also managed to collect 30 traces of tribulation chi from Wang Lin's Divine King tribulation. In the blink of an eye, Ling Xiao had obtained over 100 traces of tribulation chi. Ling Xiao was extremely excited. Lu Wenjing only had over 100 traces of tribulation qi after so many years of accumulation. This showed how precious the tribulation qi was. However, Ling Xiao managed to collect over 100 traces of tribulation qi just by helping Tian Gang and Wang Lin to pass through the Divine King tribulation. Who's next? Ling Xiao laughed as his gaze fell upon Min Ro, Lu Huan, and the other senior brothers. Everyone's hearts skipped a beat. Junior brother Long's gaze was too passionate. It was like a mouse that had fallen into a rice bowl. However, everyone was also extremely excited. Could it be that from today onwards, all the disciples of Battle Hall were going to break through to the Divine King realm? In the past, only Zhou Daoji and Ling Xiao had broken through to the early Divine King realm. Everyone could see the rise of Battle Hall. With Ling Xiao around, not to mention the Divine King tribulation, even the Nirvana tribulation of a half-saint was no longer terrifying. Boom! Min Ro also chose to pass the Divine King tribulation. The other senior brothers and sisters also chose to believe in Ling Xiao without any reservations. As a result, the sky above Battle Mountain was enveloped by blazing lightning for half a month. The vast heavenly tribulation filled the air and even alarmed the disciples of the other factions. Oh my God, what's going on with Battle Hall? In just half a month, there are already 8 or 9 people undergoing the Divine King tribulation. When did it become so easy to pass the Divine King tribulation? Someone clicked his tongue as his eyes were filled with disbelief. Although the Divine King realm was nothing in Battle God Temple and all the inner disciples were above the Divine King realm, this was related to Battle Hall. Moreover, there were so many disciples undergoing the Divine King tribulation in such a short period of time. That's nothing. Those disciples who entered Battle Hall are all geniuses of Ares College. They have long reached the great circle of the heavenly God realm. I think they are just trying to attract our attention. How childish. Someone sneered as he was unhappy with the commotion caused by the disciples of Battle Hall. That's right. Just ignore them. They are just early divine kings. How can they cause any trouble? Everyone retracted their divine sense. Thunder Mountain. This was the floating sacred mountain of Thunder Hall. All the disciples of Thunder Hall lived here. The Thunder Mountain was tens of thousands of feet tall. Its aura was vigorous and majestic. Ancient trees towered into the sky and exotic flowers and plants were everywhere. The void was filled with dense lightning yuan qi. Palaces and pavilions could be seen everywhere on the Thunder Mountain. Powerful figures could be seen moving freely in the void. In the Thunder Hall, there were tens of thousands of inner disciples. It could be said that in the entire War God Temple, only the Heaven Hall of War God Temple could suppress the Thunder Hall. Chapter 1583. Shui Hua, you're really ruthless. How could you beat my brother to such a state? A woman in a luxurious dress spoke. She had a charming face, snow-white skin, and a graceful figure. Her entire body exuded a myriad of emotions. Her temperament was extraordinary, and no one dared to look at her directly. However, at this moment, her face was filled with pity and anger. She was Tang Fei's elder sister, Tang Yao. She was a direct disciple of the Thunder Hall, and her cultivation had reached the Third Revolution half-saint realm. Unlike the declining Battle Hall, the Thunder Hall was powerful and prosperous. The number of true disciples of the Battle Hall had been reduced time and time again. If it weren't for the fact that they needed someone to wield the cyclic sky seal, the Battle Hall probably wouldn't even have 9 true disciples. However, the Thunder Hall had more than 100 direct disciples. At this moment, Shui Hua was standing below. Hearing this, he smiled awkwardly and said, "Senior Sister Tang, I was already very merciful. 30 whips, I only used 10% of my strength. You know that Qingying is a lawless demoness. If I dared to go too easy on her, I'm afraid she wouldn't let me go. Humph. That bitch Qingying, I'll deal with her sooner or later." Hearing Qingying's name, Tang Yao's eyes were filled with incomparable cold anger. "Senior Sister Tang, Qingying's cultivation is powerful, and she's also the daughter of the Yin Hall's master. Although we can't touch her, we can't let the culprit who caused Tang Fei to be whipped go. Shui Hua's eyes flickered as he slowly changed the topic. He knew how terrifying Chengying was. Among all the direct disciples of the War God Temple, there were very few who could provoke her. Even senior brother Zhan Tianqing didn't want to offend her. He was afraid that Tang Yao would order him to cause trouble for Chengying in her anger. If that happened, he would really be tired of living. Therefore, he changed the topic and pointed the spearhead at Ling Xiao. You're talking about the new direct disciple of the battle hall, Long Outyan? Tang Yao's eyes flashed coldly, revealing a trace of icy killing intent. That's right, senior sister. It's that Long Outyan. You have to take revenge for me. I want that brat to suffer a fate worse than death. Upon hearing Long Outyan's name, even Tang Fei, who was lying on the bed, shuddered. Deep hatred appeared in his eyes. After being humiliated by Long Outyan in the battle hall, Tang Fei hated Long Outyan to the extreme. He had always been arrogant and despotic. No one had ever dared to treat him like this. Don't worry, little brother. Long Outyan deserves to die. Tang Yao's eyes were filled with incomparable coldness. Shui Hua hesitated for a moment before he slowly said, Senior Sister Tang, if Long Outyan is just an ordinary inner disciple, it would be very easy for you to kill him. However, he is a successor disciple. If he dies for no reason, I'm afraid the sect will definitely investigate carefully. So what if he's a true disciple? Right now, the battle hall only has that old fart, Lu Wenzheng, supporting it. They don't even have a single sage or old ancestor. As long as we can do it flawlessly, the sect won't be able to find out. Tang Yao said coldly. Senior Sister Tang is right. However, he's in the battle hall. How are we going to deal with him? Shui Hua glanced at Tang Yao. Although this woman was beautiful, she was vicious and merciless. Unfortunately, she had an incomparably huge force supporting her. He didn't dare to offend her. He can't stay in the battle hall forever. Even if he stays in the battle hall, it's not like we can't let him out. I remember that the divine devil space has been in chaos recently, right? As a disciple of the sect, you have the obligation to complete the mission given by the sect. Take senior brother Zhan's token and find Elder Hong of the mission hall. Ask him to send Long Outyan into the divine devil space to quell the rebellion. Tang Yao said slowly. A light flashed in her hand and a purple token appeared. On it were the two words Tianqing. It looked mysterious and majestic. Senior Sister Tang, Long Outyan's combat strength is very strong. Even junior brother Wuchen was defeated by him in 3 punches. Even if he enters the divine devil space, we can't kill him, right? Only divine king experts can display their full strength in the divine devil space. Even sage-to-be experts will be suppressed. Shui Hua said hesitantly. Junior brother Shui, I hope you can go there personally. You are only a first revolution sage-to-be. The suppression in the divine devil space is not that great. I believe you can kill Long Outyan, right? Don't worry, as long as you can kill him, I will give you a little nirvana elixir. Tang Yao glanced at Shui Hua and said indifferently. Shui Hua wanted to refuse directly. However, when he heard about the little nirvana elixir, he couldn't refuse. The little nirvana elixir could help a low-level sage-to-be break through the nirvana tribulation. If he had the little nirvana elixir, he could quickly cross the second nirvana tribulation and become a second revolution sage-to-be. He couldn't resist this temptation. Senior Sister Tang, don't worry. I will kill Long Outyan for you. Shui Hua said with a cold smile. His eyes revealed a trace of cold killing intent. Very good. You can leave now. Tang Yao said indifferently. After Shui Hua left, Tang Fei asked in confusion, Sister, why do you have to kill Long Outyan? If this is exposed, won't it implicate you? I just want to teach him a lesson to vent my anger. When he thought of the consequences of killing a true disciple, even Tang Fei felt a little nervous. Brother, if anyone wants to bully you, they will have to die. I won't let anyone hurt you, no one. Tang Yao looked into the distance and revealed a trace of determination. It seemed like she was answering Tang Fei, but it also seemed like she was talking to herself. On War Mountain, except for Xian Wang, everyone had crossed the Divine King Tribulation and advanced to the early Divine King realm. Even Feng Ye, Yin Tian Song, and the Black Donkey had successfully crossed the Divine King Tribulation under Ling Zhao's protection. However, the three of them didn't have enough accumulation. When they crossed the Divine King Tribulation, it was extremely dangerous. Not only did Ling Zhao not extract the tribulation qi from their lightning tribulations, he even secretly added some tribulation qi, allowing them to polish their cultivation base in the lightning tribulations. The black donkey was the most miserable. It was howling in pain and its shiny black hair fell off. It really became a bald donkey. Even with its extreme speed, it couldn't dodge the attacks of the lightning tribulations. In the end, it even foamed at the mouth and pretended to be dead. When the lightning tribulations ended, the black donkey rushed towards Ling Zhao with an unfriendly expression. It bit down on Ling Zhao's arm and scolded him. Long out Yen, you bastard. Did you do it on purpose? Why didn't my lightning tribulations weaken, but strengthen instead? I'm going to bite you to death. The black donkey was extremely fast, like a bolt of lightning. Even Ling Zhao couldn't dodge it. The black donkey bit him on the arm, causing him to feel a piercing pain. Ling Zhao couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Bald donkey, let go of me. I'm doing this for your own good, don't you know? Your foundation isn't enough. I'm kind enough to add some tribulation qi to your lightning tribulations so that you can refine your lightning tribulations longer. You really don't know how to appreciate my kindness. Ling Zhao slapped the black donkey's head and sent it flying. I say, brat. You did it on purpose. I'm not done with you. The black donkey's heart was filled with resentment. It stared at Ling Zhao with an unfriendly gaze, as if it was looking for a chance to bite Ling Zhao a few more times. Chapter 1584. Everyone covered their mouths and snickered. The black donkey was in such a pitiful state that they could not bear to look at him. Ling Zhao also felt a little guilty. He turned his head away from the black donkey. To be honest, he had indeed secretly taught the black donkey a lesson. Although Feng Ye and Yin Tiansong's foundations were not strong enough, Ling Zhao had protected them during the lightning tribulation to prevent them from being severely injured. He had also used the Thunder Emperor technique to guide the power of the lightning tribulation to cleanse their bodies. However, Ling Zhao was much more violent towards the black donkey. Ling Zhao directly added 20 strands of tribulation qi, causing the black donkey's godly king tribulation to be at the earth level. Because of Ling Zhao's interference, the black donkey's godly king tribulation became a heaven-level godly king tribulation, causing the black donkey to wish for death. It was understandable that the black donkey would feel resentful towards Ling Zhao. Junior sister Xian Wang, are you going to undergo the tribulation? Ling Zhao looked at Xian Wang and smiled. There was a hint of anticipation in his eyes. Although Xian Wang was only in the great circle of the heavenly god realm, she had broken through to the great circle of the divine king realm in the void saint world. There was basically no bottleneck for her before she reached the great circle of the divine king realm. Moreover, Ling Zhao thought of the inheritance left behind by the peerless heavenly emperor-like figure in her body. He was even more excited to see what level her divine king tribulation would be. I choose to undergo the tribulation today as well. Thank you, senior brother Long. Xian Wang smiled faintly. Whoosh! She leaped into the air. Her body emitted a brilliant light. Her black hair fluttered in the wind. Her white robe was peerless. She exuded a graceful, majestic, and mysterious aura. After Xian Wang released his aura, a vast and unparalleled godly light shot into the sky. Rumble. Above the War Mountain, the sky seemed to have shattered. Everything was destroyed. Streaks of black lightning appeared silently. They intertwined like black dragons. At the same time, they were filled with a faint chaotic light. The sea of lightning rose up, vast and boundless. In the middle of the sea of lightning, an ancient lightning pool appeared. It was like the light of the creation of the heavens and earth. Numerous terrifying figures appeared from within the lightning pool. What is that? Zhou Daoji and the others trembled. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. They had never seen a god-king tribulation like this before. The figure in the ancient lightning pool was like a peerless great emperor that could sweep through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The moment he appeared, the firmament in all directions shook violently. At this moment, Xian Wang's eyes were extremely bright. Kill! She let out a soft cry and immediately turned into a stream of flowing light that soared into the sky. She emitted a mysterious and vast wave as she charged towards the figure in the thunder calamity. The Heavenly Emperor's figure. It looks like the Heavenly Empress in the Sea of the Void Saint world. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed, revealing a trace of seriousness. At the same time, he was somewhat puzzled. Xian Wang a Heavenly Emperor level. If the tribulation, if. To be. C. A, it be. What was the relationship between Xian Wang and the Heavenly Empress? Light flickered in Ling Zhao's eyes. He immediately used the sky-shrouding secret technique and flew towards the Xian King's lightning tribulation. Ling Zhao could sense that the projection of the Empress contained extremely dense tribulation qi. Ling Zhao was surrounded by a faint chaotic qi. He used the indestructible saint technique to absorb the tribulation qi in the Heavenly Empress's figure. Buzz! The Empress seemed to have sensed something. Her eyes suddenly revealed a blazing sharpness as she looked at Ling Zhao. Then, she slapped Ling Zhao's body and sent him flying. What? Ling Zhao's body trembled as a look of disbelief appeared in his eyes. This great emperor's silhouette was a mark of heaven and earth. How could it have its own will? She sent Ling Zhao flying with a slap. Even Tiangang, Zhou Daoji, and the others widened their eyes. They saw Ling Zhao being sent flying by the Heavenly Empress's figure. Hee, this kid has done a lot of bad things. Now he's getting his retribution. Black Donkey grinned, revealing a row of white teeth. He was gloating over Ling Zhao's misfortune. Rumble. Ling Zhao was sent flying in the Sea of Lightning. His heaven-shrouding secret technique was almost broken. He was shocked and quickly stabilized himself. At this moment, Ling Zhao discovered that he was already close to the ancient lightning pool in the Sea of Lightning. Lightning flashed in the lightning pool. The lightning tribulation liquid exuded a mysterious and vast energy fluctuation. The two forces of destruction and vitality intertwined. It was very mysterious. Is that tribulation qi? Ling Zhao was shocked. He found that there were streaks of tribulation qi floating in the lightning pool. They exuded a strange power as if they contained the great Tao law. They made the lightning pool inviolable. I didn't expect the tribulation qi to come from the lightning pool. I can't let it go. Ling Zhao's eyes revealed a trace of pleasant surprise. With a flash of his body, he jumped into the lightning pool. Instantly, the vast thunder tribulation liquid seemed to have exploded. An incomparably terrifying destructive power erupted. Although Ling Zhao had used the sky-shrouding secret technique, he jumped into the lightning pool. It was like poking a hornet's nest. He could no longer hide from the lightning tribulation. Rumble. Heaven and earth seemed to be furious. The vast lightning tribulation liquid in the lightning pool rolled. Streaks of blazing lightning struck Ling Zhao, trying to turn him into dust. Devour. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed with a hint of madness. He could feel the terrifying fluctuation in the lightning pool. However, he decided to go all out for the tribulation qi. When he used the indestructible divine technique, he also used the sky-devouring secret technique and the sky-shrouding secret technique. He swallowed the tribulation qi in the lightning pool like a whale swallowing the sea. At the same time, he used the sky-shrouding secret technique to conceal his aura. He wanted to delay as much time as possible. Streaks of tribulation chi were drawn into Ling Xiao's body like blades. They began to explode in his body. He had no way to collect the tribulation chi. He could only choose to swallow it in the most violent way. Ling Xiao seemed to be competing with heaven and earth for the tribulation chi. Suddenly, heaven and earth began to become furious. Boom! Terrifying lightning rose from the lightning pool. At first, it was black lightning. Then, it turned into purple and golden lightning. It intertwined into a monstrous net and shrouded Ling Xiao. At first, Ling Xiao was able to resist it with his physical strength. However, as the lightning became more and more terrifying, even Ling Xiao could not resist it. His body was pierced by several bloody holes. Chapter 1585. Within the lightning pool, silver, gold, purple and black lightning intertwined with one another. It contained a terrifying destructive force and formed a vast lightning net. The terrifying fluctuations made Ling Xiao's scalp tingle. So much tribulation energy. What a waste. Ling Xiao laughed bitterly. In such a short time, he had already absorbed more than 1,000 tribulation energy. At this moment, he was facing both internal and external troubles. The 1,000 tribulation energy in his body were like sword radiance, causing his physical body to be on the verge of breaking apart. Outside, the lightning net intertwined with each other and came crashing down on him. Although Ling Xiao could feel that there was still a lot of tribulation energy in the lightning pool, he was running out of time. Wang! He immediately connected to the heart realm and disappeared from the lightning pool, entering the Great Void Holy Palace. If he had been a little later, he would have been killed by the terrifying lightning tribulation. Ling Xiao had jumped into the lightning pool to steal the tribulation energy. It was as if he had angered the heavenly Tao. However, when he entered the Great Void Temple through his heart realm, the heavenly wave thunder calamity instantly lost its connection with him. Even though endless lightning covered the sky and tore the sky apart, it could not see Ling Xiao's figure at all. Without Ling Xiao, Lord Xian's lightning tribulation returned to normal. She was also engaged in an intense battle with the mysterious figure of the Empress. Junior brother Long wouldn't have died in the lightning pool, right? He's too daring. Zhou Doji said with a wry smile. There was a hint of concern in his eyes. Hee, don't worry. As the saying goes, good people don't live long, but bad people live for 1,000 years. That guy is really bad. He won't die so easily. The black donkey chuckled. He was not worried at all. That's right. Since junior brother Long dared to enter the lightning pool, it means that he's confident. Don't worry. Tiangang nodded. Rumble. Above the void, King Xian's lightning tribulation was extremely terrifying. It fought fiercely with the Empress silhouette. In the end, King Xian was injured. However, his willpower was extremely strong. When the energy of the lightning tribulation was exhausted, the silhouette of the Empress disappeared. King Xian had officially passed the Divine King realm and reached the early Divine King realm. Wang! With a flash of light in the air, Ling Xiao's figure reappeared. While the Xian monarch was undergoing his tribulation, he had entered the Flowing Time Temple and used the 30 times time acceleration to refine all the tribulation chi in a month's time. Although Ling Xiao didn't seem to have changed much, one of his palms contained a faint golden light. It looked crystal clear, like a piece of jade, and emitted a strong fluctuation. Ling Xiao clenched his fist, and an explosion sounded in the air. More than 1,000 strands of tribulation chi, and I only managed to refine this palm. It seems like it'll take me a long time to refine my entire body. However, this power is indeed very strong. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He could feel that his palm seemed to have undergone some kind of qualitative change, like an indestructible holy treasure. Its power had increased by more than a few times. Now, Ling Xiao was confident that he could use this palm to fight against a half-saint artifact and even destroy it. Junior brother Long, are you alright? When Tian Gang and the rest saw Ling Xiao appear, they immediately went up to greet him. When they saw that Ling Xiao wasn't injured, they relaxed slightly. I'm fine. However, from today onwards, everyone in the Battle Temple will be at the Divine King realm. Ha ha ha. I hope everyone will work hard and break through to the Half-Saint realm as soon as possible. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, and a trace of sharpness flashed in his eyes. The disciples of the Battle Temple were extremely talented. At the very least, they had the potential to become true disciples. It wouldn't be difficult for them to break through to the Half-Saint realm. Moreover, with Ling Xiao's help, they would probably break through even faster. The Half-Saint realm? Everyone's eyes also revealed a trace of anticipation. After entering the Battle Temple, they understood that the Divine King realm was only the beginning of the Holy Path. Only half-saints were qualified to have a glimpse of the Holy Path. They were all peerless geniuses, so they naturally didn't want to be inferior to others. They all wanted to become true disciples as soon as possible. Whoosh! A stream of light landed on the battle mountain, and Lu Wenjing's figure appeared before everyone. All of you have broken through to the Divine King realm. When Lu Wenjing saw Ling Xiao and the others, his body suddenly trembled, and a trace of disbelief flashed in his eyes. He had only been away for half a month. How did these guys break through to the Divine King realm one after another as if they were on steroids? Lu Wenjing couldn't believe it. Great Elder, it was Senior Brother Long who helped everyone break through to the Divine King realm in one fell swoop. Tai Niu said in a muffled voice, his face filled with admiration. Kid, you really do amazing things every time. Lu Wenjing looked at Ling Xiao with emotion. He understood Ling Xiao's intention. He probably wanted to collect tribulation qi by helping them break through to the Divine King realm. However, a treasure like the heaven-shielding ancient talisman could only be used once. How many heaven-shielding ancient talismans did this kid have? Take these tribulation qi and cultivate. A light flashed in Lu Wenjing's hand, and a transparent jade bottle appeared. He tossed it to Ling Xiao. 300 strands of tribulation qi. Great Elder, where did you get so much tribulation qi? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, and he asked in surprise. I happened to come across an ominous calamity land and collected some tribulation qi from there. However, I didn't expect you to give me such a big surprise as soon as I returned. Not bad, keep up the good work. Lu Wenjing smiled faintly and said in a very relaxed and casual tone. Thank you, Great Elder. Ling Xiao said seriously. He couldn't help but feel warm inside. With his sharp senses, how could he not see it? Lu Wenjing's aura was a little weak at the moment, as if he had been severely injured. It probably wasn't as easy as he said to obtain the tribulation qi. The ominous calamity land was also known as the Land of Death. It was usually left behind from the great calamity of the Antiquity Age. Even a true sage would be in danger of dying there, let alone an ordinary sage to be. In order to collect tribulation qi for Ling Xiao, Lu Wenjing must have gone through many difficulties. However, Ling Xiao didn't say much. He kept it in mind. What's there to thank me for? This tribulation qi is just a drop in the bucket. However, you'd better not help others to pass through tribulation in the future. If you help others pass through tribulation, you'll be tainted with their karma. Although you can obtain tribulation qi, it's not worth it in the long run. Didn't you see that Zhang Tianqing has never helped others pass through tribulation? Try to collect tribulation qi from heaven and earth treasures, or even from the ominous calamity land. Lu Wenjing looked at Ling Xiao and said slowly. Karma. Thank you, Great Elder. I'll remember it. Ling Xiao's heart trembled. This term might be unfamiliar to him, but when one reached the sage realm, they would try their best to avoid karma. If the power of karma was too strong and tainted with too much karma, not only could it cause one's cultivation to regress, but it could also lead to death. Chapter 1586. Within the War God Hall, there were 9 sacred mountains floating in the air. They were the residences of the disciples of the 9 factions. Every inner disciple could have their own cave abode on the sacred mountains. And once they became true disciples, they could have their own cave abodes created by the Heavenly Works Hall's elders, forming a mountain peak in the air. It represented the status and prestige of a true disciple. Therefore, in addition to the 9 floating sacred mountains in the sky, there were also several hundred floating mountain peaks in the sky. They were like stars surrounding the moon, and they were surrounded by dazzling mist and light. Those were the residences of the true disciples. Although Ling Xiao had been promoted to a pro-disciple, he didn't choose to open his own cave dwelling. Instead, he chose to live on War Mountain. Currently, War Temple had very few people and the situation on War Mountain was very bad. Ever since Ling Xiao became a pro-disciple of War Temple, Lu Wenzheng had basically become a hands-off shopkeeper. Lu Wenzheng wouldn't even see his shadow for a few days, leaving all the affairs of War Temple to Ling Xiao. Thousand Moon Peak. This was the cave abode of the true disciple, Chen Ying. The scenery on top of the Thousand Moon Peak was very beautiful. Ancient trees towered into the sky. It looked very peaceful. There were all kinds of pavilions built on top of the mountain. Ling Xiao could see that there were many people on top of the Thousand Moon Peak. They were all busy. These were Chen Ying's inner disciples and odd job disciples. They were all here to serve Chen Ying. The status of a true disciple was very high. At the top of the Thousand Moon Peak, there was a gigantic palace surrounded by moonlight. It was as if there were thousands of moons revolving around it, making the palace look magnificent and unique. Senior Brother Long, the reason why the Thousand Moon Peak is called Thousand Moon Peak is because of the Thousand Moon Great Formation. Once the Thousand Moon Great Formation is activated, it is like the strength of thousands of half-saints. Even a 9th revolution half-saints would find it difficult to break the Thousand Moon Great Formation in a short time. Senior Sister Chen Ying used all kinds of heavenly treasures to condense the Thousand Moon Great Formation for countless years. She also added countless holy talismans and formation charms. This is the foundation of the Thousand Moon Peak. No one in the War God Temple dares to cause trouble here. Bai Lulu led Ling Xiao all the way to the Thousand Moon Peak. Her eyes were full of pride. After the incident in the martial arts hall, Bai Lulu was sent to Thousand Moon Peak by Chen Ying. This time, it was also Chen Ying who sent Bai Lulu to Thousand Moon Peak to look for Ling Xiao. Because Chen Ying was prepared to overcome the rebirth tribulation. This Thousand Moon Peak is indeed extraordinary and has a deep foundation. Ling Xiao smiled and exclaimed. He could feel the terrifying power of the Thousand Moon Grand Array. It seemed that Chen Ying had spent a lot of effort in managing the Thousand Moon Peak. Ling Xiao followed by Lulu to the top of the Thousand Moon Peak. Other than the Thousand Moon Palace, which was enveloped by the Thousand Moon Great Array, there was a sea of clouds all around. Is Junior Brother Long here? Please come in. Chen Ying's heroic voice resounded from inside the Thousand Moon Palace. A crisp sound was heard as the door of the Thousand Moon Palace slowly opened. Senior Brother Long, I won't be going in. This matter is related to Senior Sister Chang's Nirvana tribulation. I have to inform all the disciples to protect her with all their might. Bai Lulu smiled and took her leave. Ling Xiao nodded and strode into the Thousand Moon Palace. Boom! After Ling Xiao entered the Thousand Moon Palace, the door closed once again. Ling Xiao could feel the terrifying power of the Thousand Moon Great Array spreading out and enveloping the entire Thousand Moon Peak. The Thousand Moon Great Array was also activated. Inside the Thousand Moon Palace, the light was resplendent and the auspicious air was dense. Chen Ying sat cross-legged in the main hall, her black hair loose and full of heroic spirit. Although she was a woman, she looked like a handsome young man. At this moment, the majestic aura around her made the Thousand Moon Palace tremble slightly. Ling Xiao could feel a dense holy path aura emanating from Chen Ying's body. Junior Brother Long, you're here. Chen Ying opened her eyes. Her gaze was incomparably clear and there was a faint holy light lingering around it. Senior Sister Cheng, have you already begun the Nirvana tribulation? Ling Xiao's gaze narrowed. He could feel that Chen Ying's current state was not right. Her aura was fluctuating between strong and weak, and there seemed to be an incomparably terrifying destructive force in her body that wanted to devour all of her life force. If Qingying had not tried her best to suppress it, it would have completely erupted. Even so, Qingying was almost unable to suppress it. Junior brother Long's eyes are as sharp as a torch. That's right, I didn't expect the Nirvana tribulation to come so soon. It's mainly because I've stayed in the 5th Revolution Half-Saint realm for too long. This Nirvana tribulation is incomparably dangerous. Junior brother Long, if I can't withstand it, I'll have to trouble you to help me. Qingying smiled slightly, her attitude was very optimistic. No problem. Senior Sister Cheng, please begin. Ling Xiao nodded. A light flashed in his palm, and the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman appeared, emitting a mysterious light that enveloped Ling Xiao's entire body. After Ling Xiao activated the power of the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman, his aura became faintly discernible. In the end, it was as if he had directly turned into nothingness. Even Qingying could feel that Ling Xiao had completely disappeared. Boom! Qingying's eyes flashed sharply, and the destructive force in her body instantly erupted. To be precise, it should be the Nirvana tribulation that had erupted. Qingying sat cross-legged in the main hall, and a roaring sound came from her body, causing the entire Thousand Moon Palace to shake violently. Ripples appeared in the void, as if it would shatter at any time. Streaks of black divine light escaped from Qingying's body, hiding the power of the moon. It was as if a blade was wreaking havoc, as if it was going to turn her entire body into a fine powder. At the same time, Ling Xiao also felt a vast power of the heavens and earth descending. The Nirvana tribulation was not only a test on the path of the holy path, but also a test of the heavens and earth for all living beings. It was even more dangerous than the Divine King tribulation. The Nirvana tribulation was actually a process of destruction and then establishment. It was like the nirvana of a phoenix, born from death. Ling Xiao could see a vast and invisible force enveloping Qingying. Then, her body began to slowly shatter. It was as if she had exploded into a rain of light. She was completely disintegrated. At the same time, Qingying's primordial spirit, Qingying's small world, and Godhead were also disintegrated. Ling Xiao could see that on Qingying's Godhead, there were already 5 strange patterns, which meant that she had already passed through 5 Nirvana tribulations. After the 9th Nirvana tribulation, if the Godhead could transform into a fruit of the way, then it would be able to merge with the way of the heavens and earth, and be promoted to the saint realm. Qingying was undergoing the Nirvana tribulation in front of Ling Xiao, and all the secrets in her body were revealed to Ling Xiao without any reservation. Ling Xiao could see that within Qingying's Godhead, there was the way of the moon, the sharp way of the sword, the fierce way of the fist, and even the way of the wind and the way of the thunder. These all represented the way that Qingying had comprehended. Chapter 1587. Rumble. A mysterious thunderbolt exploded and enveloped the entire Qianhua Palace. The vast power of heaven and earth contained the terrifying power of nirvana. Ling Xiao could feel that the Qianhua Palace was enveloped by the power of nirvana. The power of nirvana was extremely mysterious. It did not affect the various items in the Thousand Moon Palace, but it had a destructive effect on living beings. If the sky-shrouding talisman failed at this moment and Ling Xiao was exposed to the Thousand Moon Palace, he would probably be instantly killed by the power of nirvana. Ling Xiao felt a little insecure and secretly operated the sky-shrouding talisman. Only then did he feel a little relieved. This was nirvana tribulation, not an ordinary divine king tribulation. If he was not careful, Ling Xiao would probably die without a burial place. Ling Xiao could see that Qingying's physical body, primordial spirit, and everything else had turned into the tiniest particles. They floated in the Thousand Moon Palace like a dazzling rain of light. It was as if her entire person had disappeared. And those tiny particles seemed to contain Qingying's primordial spirit and life imprint. They were entangled with the power of nirvana and were slowly absorbing the power of nirvana. It really is tribulation qi. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He could feel that every nirvana tribulation qi contained a tribulation qi. And with the vast nirvana tribulation chi in the Thousand Moon Palace, how many thousands of tribulation chi would there be? Although Ling Xiao was envious, he did not make a move. These were Qing Ying's opportunities and opportunities. If he made a move now, he would destroy Qing Ying's opportunity to become a saint. Rumble. Ling Xiao was able to see that every single particle contained the most original Tao insight, yet they were also like tiny worlds. When the nirvana energy entered them, it was as if the heavens and the earth were being split apart, causing those tiny worlds to continuously evolve. Some of the particles could not withstand the power of nirvana and shattered, then turned into nothingness. But even more particles seemed to have absorbed a vast amount of energy and began to grow and even differentiate. The entanglement of life and death. The extreme of life is death, and the extreme of death is life. Is this nirvana? Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of understanding. Observing Qing Ying's nirvana had benefited him a lot. Although Ling Xiao had consumed the Zhou Tian nirvana pill previously and experienced the process of nirvana, how could the power of the pill compare to the might of nirvana? Ling Xiao didn't know how much time had passed, but in the end, the particles seemed to have completed their transformation. There was an incomparably mysterious attraction between them, and they gathered together. Vaguely, they seemed to be condensing into a human figure. However, Ling Xiao could feel that more and more nirvana force was gathering. It was as if it wanted to completely annihilate those particles and return them to the world. Not good. Ling Xiao's eyes widened. He could sense that Qing Ying was not in a good state at the moment. Her true spirit seemed to be unable to withstand such a majestic nirvana force. Once it was scattered again, it would not just be a simple matter of wasting all her previous efforts. Her soul would probably be destroyed and not even her bones would be left. The 9 revolutions nirvana tribulation was incomparably dangerous. If one succeeded, one would live. If one failed, one would die. There was no second path. Therefore, countless semi-sage experts were incomparably cautious when crossing the nirvana tribulation. Now, Qing Ying had encountered a crisis, which was also her calamity. Ling Xiao didn't even think about it and attacked instantly. Boom! Streaks of chaotic light pervaded his body. He looked like a chaotic fiend god that had walked out of the chaos. He stretched out his hand and a chaotic vortex spread out in his palm. He had used the cultivation method of the indestructible saint technique to absorb the mysterious tribulation chi from the nirvana force into his body. Strands of tribulation chi entered Ling Xiao's body like sharp blades, bringing him excruciating pain. However, Ling Xiao had already experienced it several times before, so he did not even frown from the excruciating pain. Streaks of tribulation chi were extracted by Ling Xiao. He could sense that the mysterious nirvana force seemed to have turned into the purest vitality. Then, it began to fly toward those particles. Dazzling light shone in the void, and Qing Ying's body slowly began to condense. Rumble. At this moment, an unforeseen event occurred. Although Ling Xiao's aura was concealed by the heaven-shrouding secret technique and the vast will of heaven and earth couldn't discover him, his act of extracting tribulation chi seemed to have angered the will of heaven and earth. Suddenly, the majestic tribulation chi broke down from the nirvana force and began to surge wildly into Ling Xiao's body. Tribulation chi was a double-edged sword. Previously, Ling Xiao had used tribulation chi to refine his body. Therefore, he was incomparably careful. Now that the vast tribulation chi was surging in, Ling Xiao was immediately in great danger. Damn heaven, you're playing with me. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly and shouted gloomily in his heart. How could he not see it? The will of heaven and earth wanted to make him explode with tribulation chi. It didn't matter if he used the heaven-shrouding secret technique to conceal his aura. If an ordinary person dared to absorb so much tribulation chi, it was no different from courting death. However, the more dangerous the situation was, the calmer Ling Xiao was. He activated the indestructible sacred technique to the extreme and forcibly absorbed the tribulation chi into his body. It merged into every inch of his flesh, meridians, and bones. His body instantly became riddled with holes, as if he had been pierced by thousands of swords. The tribulation chi that rushed into his body in an instant made him feel as if his entire body was about to shatter. However, with Ling Xiao madly absorbing the tribulation chi, Chengying passed through the nirvana tribulation without any mishap. Dazzling light burst out from her body. Her physical body, primordial spirit, small world, and Godhead were reformed. There was also an additional 6th rune on her Godhead. Seeing that Chengying had formed her physical body without any mishap, Ling Xiao finally heaved a sigh of relief. Without hesitation, he connected to his heart realm and entered the Great Void Shrine. In just a short while, Ling Xiao's body had already absorbed 3,000 tribulation chi. Although he was envious of the tribulation chi, Ling Xiao knew that if he held on for a little longer, his entire body would explode from the tribulation chi. Although his physical body was strong, there was no way he could withstand the power of the tribulation chi. After entering the Great Void Shrine, Ling Xiao immediately sped up time by 30 times in the flowing time shrine and began to cultivate in seclusion to refine the tribulation chi in his body. Ling Xiao seemed to have gone through a process of destruction and reconstruction. His body was continuously torn apart by the chi of calamity and then healed. In the end, all 3,000 streams of chi of calamity were refined by Ling Xiao, and one of his arms was completely refined. Ling Xiao's arm now looked as translucent as jade and emitted a faint purple light. It was filled with explosive power. Ling Xiao even felt that he could tear the void apart with a single punch. Chapter 1588. I've used up 5,000 strands of tribulation aura to refine this arm. I still have a long way to go before I can refine the tribulation seed. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly. He had helped many disciples of Battle Hall to pass their divine king tribulations. In addition to the tribulation aura that Lu Wenzheng had found for him and the 3,000 strands of tribulation aura that he had devoured from Chengying's nirvana tribulation, Ling Xiao had used up 5,000 strands of tribulation aura. However, he had only managed to refine one arm. He had thought that 10,000 strands of tribulation aura would be enough to refine the tribulation seed. However, it seemed that 10,000 strands of tribulation aura could only refine 2 arms. Since Ling Xiao had cultivated the tribulation's indestructible sacred technique, he naturally wanted to complete it and embark on the divine path. In particular, the chaotic figure that Ling Xiao saw in the painting was like a celestial emperor. It was immortal and indestructible, and it dominated the universe. It left a deep impression on Ling Xiao. I wonder how much power I can unleash with this arm of mine. Perhaps I can test it out with senior sister Cheng. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he smiled faintly. Swoosh! When he came out of the Great Void Temple and returned to the Thousand Moon Palace, only a few days had passed. Chengying had completely passed the Nirvana tribulation and was sitting cross-legged in the Thousand Moon Palace to stabilize her cultivation. Chengying's aura was extremely powerful and filled with holy light. She had reached the 6th level of the half-saint realm. She only needed one more step to become an advanced half-saint. An advanced half-saint could become an elder or a deputy hall master in the War God Hall. Moreover, she would be promoted to the Holy Son of the War God Hall and have the opportunity to compete for the position of War God in the future. Currently, the War God Hall only had 3 holy sons. Chengying was only one step away from becoming a holy son. Not long after, Chengying woke up. A dazzling divine light shot out from her eyes, causing the void to ripple. Congratulations, senior sister Cheng. You've broken through to the 6th revolution half-saint realm. Ling Xiao said with a smile. It's all thanks to junior brother Long's help. However, it seems like junior brother Long has also obtained quite a bit of tribulation aura this time. Chengying smiled faintly. When she was undergoing the nirvana tribulation earlier, she was naturally able to sense the danger within. If Ling Xiao had not intervened at the last moment, she might have really failed at the last moment. Chengying's gaze landed on Ling Xiao's arm. She could feel that there was an incomparably terrifying energy rippling from Ling Xiao's arm. Junior brother Long, did you condense a Qilin arm? Legend has it that a pure-blooded Qilin's arm can capture the stars and the moon, and destroy the heavens and earth. I think junior brother Long is also incomparably powerful after being condensed by tribulation chi. Cheng Ying exclaimed. His eyes were filled with emotion. One must know that there were very few body-refining martial artists in the divine world. Apart from the fact that it was extremely difficult to improve one's physical body and required all kinds of heavenly treasures, the most important thing was that after a martial artist had broken through to the semi-sage realm, his physical body would be greatly improved every time he crossed a nirvana tribulation. A divine king expert wouldn't be able to break through the defense of a ninth cycle nirvana tribulation half-sage even if they used all their strength. However, Cheng Ying realized that Ling Zhao's arm, which had been tempered by the tribulation qi, contained so much power that even she was shocked. Qilin arm? Ha! Senior sister Cheng, you must be joking. However, I don't know how strong my arm has become after being tempered by the tribulation qi. Why don't I ask senior sister Cheng to give me some pointers? Ling Zhao chuckled. His eyes were filled with eagerness. No problem. However, junior brother Long, your combat strength is very strong. Even Wu Chen was defeated by you in 3 punches. I will suppress my cultivation to the same level as you. How about this, I will use the strength of a first cycle half-sage. Let's see how many moves you can take from me. Cheng Ying laughed very straightforwardly. She was also very curious about Ling Zhao's Qilin arm. First cycle half-sage. No problem. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed, and a powerful battle intent spread out. The Thousand Moon Great Array in the Thousand Moon Palace had not been dispersed yet. Ling Zhao and Cheng Ying might as well fight inside the Thousand Moon Palace. The outside could not sense the situation inside the Thousand Moon Palace. Senior sister Cheng, I'm coming. Ling Zhao's body was surrounded by a vast blood qi. He did not deliberately display his fist skills. All kinds of fist skills gathered in his mind. Ling Zhao used the heart realm to outline the great emperor's fist intent in the tribulation lightning. He threw a simple punch at Cheng Ying. Ling Zhao had learned a variety of martial arts. There were all kinds of divine-level martial arts, half-sage martial arts, supreme saint arts, and even the Taishu Emperor's fist left by the Taishu Emperor. The true meaning of these martial arts were different, but at this moment, Ling Zhao's punch faintly contained a mysterious aura. Boom! Ling Zhao's Qilin arm was filled with a faint purple qi. This punch was incomparably fierce and powerful. It caused the void to tremble violently as it pressed towards Cheng Ying. What? Cheng Ying's body trembled, and her eyes became a little solemn. Ling Zhao's punch contained an extremely terrifying power. It had actually almost broken through the limit of the Divine King realm and reached the level of a half-saint. What shocked her even more was the fist intent contained in Ling Zhao's punch. It seemed to be a simple punch, but it also seemed to be all-encompassing and invincible. Cheng Ying suppressed her cultivation to the first revolution half-sage realm, but she still felt the strong threat from Ling Zhao's punch. Whoosh! Cheng Ying did not dare to be careless. Black sword qi rose around her body. She pointed her finger like a sword, and black sword light shot out from the tip of her finger towards Ling Zhao's punch. Crack! That punch was extremely ferocious. When Cheng Ying's sword light came into contact with Ling Zhao's fist, it instantly exploded. However, the sword light was like rain. It didn't dissipate immediately. Instead, it bloomed like the bright moon above the sea. It turned into full moons one after another, forming a mysterious vision of thousands of moons in the sky. This was Cheng Ying's Thousand Moons sword formation. It was also a sword technique that she had created herself. She had integrated the true meaning of the Thousand Moons sword formation into it, which gave the sword endless vitality and incomparable strength. Once one was trapped in the Thousand Moons sword formation, there was no way to escape. In the end, one could only be trapped to death. Cheng Ying felt the terror of Ling Zhao's punch, so she did not hesitate to display the Thousand Moons sword formation. Rumble! The sky shook, and the mysterious vision of the sea rose. Ling Zhao's punch did not lose its momentum. It contained a monstrous fist intent that could destroy everything. It actually destroyed the full moons one after another. Sword chi exploded one after another. It was as if it was destroying dry weeds and rotten wood. It was impossible to block the power of the punch. Finally, the sky full of sword chi exploded. Qing Ying's eyes flashed with a divine light. She struck out her palm across the sky and collided with Ling Xiao's punch. Bang! Chapter 1589. Phew! Ling Xiao took in a deep breath, and a stream of white qi shot out like a sword. The blood in his body was burning hot, and his purple qilin arm was also boiling hot. This punch could be said to be the peak of his strength. Junior brother Long, I didn't expect your physical body to be so strong. You haven't gone through the nirvana tribulation, but your physical body isn't much weaker than mine. You're a freak. Qing Ying said gloomily. She had gone through 6 nirvana tribulations. Each nirvana tribulation would increase the strength of her physical body. 6 nirvana tribulations had made her physical body reach a terrifying level. However, Ling Xiao was only an early divine king. His physical body was so strong that it wasn't much weaker than hers. Senior sister Cheng, I have only tempered one of my arms. Once I've tempered my entire body, I might be able to compete with you in terms of physical strength. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He was very satisfied with his punch. The power that had erupted from his arm was enough to threaten a first revolution half-saint. However, Ling Xiao knew that his physical body was still weaker than Qing Ying's. If his entire body was tempered by the tribulation qi, he might be able to compete with her. You're a freak. However, junior brother Long, cultivation is the foundation. Your physical body is so strong. If you can break through to the sage-to-be realm and go through the nirvana tribulation, your physical body will be even more terrifying. Qing Ying said slowly. I know. However, I haven't been cultivating for long. If I forcefully increase my cultivation now, I'm afraid my foundation will be unstable. Moreover, I don't have much time left. I have to condense the tribulation seed within a year to have the chance to control the flipping sky seal. Ling Xiao said seriously. He had a deep understanding of his own cultivation base. Purely improving his cultivation base would not increase his combat strength by much. However, if he could obtain enough tribulation qi to refine his entire body, the improvement of his physical body would be a qualitative leap. Controlling the flipping sky seal is very difficult. Junior brother Long, you should know that Zhan Tianqing's cultivation has reached the peak of the 6th revolution half-saint. He has been reluctant to go through the 7th nirvana tribulation because he wants to control the flipping sky seal. Rumor has it that he's from the war tribe. It's very difficult to compete with him. Qing Ying said slowly. Zhan Tianqing's current strength was unfathomable. He had been reluctant to undergo the 7th nirvana tribulation and become the holy son of the war god Hall because he wanted to control the cyclic sky seal. After becoming the holy son, he would no longer have the chance to touch the cyclic sky seal. I will definitely control the flipping sky seal. Even if it is Zhan Tianqing, I will not give up. Ling Xiao said seriously. I believe you. Anyway, I don't like that Zhan Tianqing at all. Ha! Junior brother Long, I'm going into seclusion for a few months. When I come out, I'll look for some junior brothers and sisters who are about to undergo tribulation. I'll strive to let you obtain more tribulation energy and condense the tribulation seed faster. Qing Ying smiled. Thank you, Senior Cheng. Ling Xiao smiled and said goodbye to Qing Ying before leaving Thousand Moon Peak. Although Qing Ying had broken through to the 6th revolution half-saint realm, he still needed to familiarize himself with the sudden increase in power and stabilize his cultivation. He needed to cultivate in seclusion for a period of time. Ling Xiao returned to the battle hall. At this moment, several uninvited guests had arrived at the battle hall. Senior brother Long, you're finally back. The mission elder has summoned you. Please come with us. There were 2 young men in black robes. Their faces were cold and their auras were powerful. They were both great divine kings and were full of arrogance. Although they addressed Ling Xiao as senior brother, there was a trace of disdain in their eyes. They were extremely presumptuous and arrogant. The mission elder has summoned me. What's the matter? Ling Xiao frowned and asked. We don't know either. However, new disciples are required to complete a mission from the sect every year. It must be related to Senior Brother Long's mission. Senior Brother Long, you should leave quickly. Don't let the mission elder wait for too long. The two young men in black robes said coldly. Mission from the sect? All right, lead the way. Ling Xiao said as he looked at the two young men in black robes. Although the war god's temple had such a rule, it was only for inner disciples. They had always turned a blind eye to the actions of true disciples. Ling Xiao also wanted to see what kind of medicine this mission elder was selling in his gourd. Tiangong's eyes were filled with worry as he said softly, Junior Brother Long, I think they have ill intentions. You must be careful. Hey Donkey also walked up and said with an unfriendly look, Kid, do you want me to help you beat up these two guys? I don't like them at all. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and said, you don't have to worry. I'll go and understand the situation first. Swoosh. 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 Ling Xiao followed the two young men in black robes and flew towards the mission hall. The mission hall was the place where the disciples were assigned to carry out missions in the War God Hall. There were also some elders, deputy hall masters and even supreme elders who would issue missions. As long as the disciples could complete the missions, they would receive corresponding contribution points. Every year, as long as the inner disciples completed a task assigned by the sect, they would be able to obtain the corresponding reward. However, heir disciples would often enter closed-door cultivation for several years at a time. Thus, this rule was rarely used for heir disciples. Ling Xiao felt that this mission was not simple. Therefore, he wanted to meet the mission elder to see what he was up to. Soon, Ling Xiao arrived at the mission hall under the guidance of the two young men in black robes. Go in. The mission elder is waiting for you inside. The young man in black robes sneered. He did not even bother to say another word to Ling Xiao. He turned around and left. Ling Xiao did not care about their attitude and walked into the magnificent and extraordinary huge palace in front of him. The palace was very vast and dense with light. A middle-aged man in black robes stood in the middle. He was tall and had a dignified face. His eyes were filled with indifference. His aura was vast and unfathomable, causing faint ripples to appear around him. You are Long Outyen? An indifferent and cold voice sounded from the middle-aged man in black robes. It was like thunder that resounded in the main hall. The middle-aged man in black robes was the mission elder of the mission hall. His cultivation had reached the 7th revolution half-saint, Chen Song. Disciple Long Outyen greets the mission elder. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he said slowly. With Ling Zhao's incomparable insight, no matter how hard Chen Song tried to hide it, he could still sense the trace of malice hidden in Chen Song's eyes. Ling Zhao's heart skipped a beat. Chen Song had malice towards him. Ling Xiao immediately thought of some of the people he had offended recently. The names of Lei Qianjue, Lei Muwen, Wu Chen, Tang Fei, and Shui Hua flashed through his mind. Long Outyen, you are able to become a true disciple with a cultivation of the Divine King realm. This is because the sect thinks highly of you. However, as a disciple of the War God Temple, you have to repay the sect and fight for the sect's interests. Do you understand? Chen Song said indifferently. He looked down at Ling Xiao with a condescending gaze. A strong sense of oppression was emitted from his body. Chapter 1590. Ling Xiao frowned slightly and said indifferently, as a disciple of the War God Temple, I will naturally protect the temple's interests. Why did the elder summon me here? Just say it. Chen Song's attitude displeased Ling Xiao. However, he also wanted to see just who had the ability to order the mission elder around. After all, as an elder of the mission hall, his status was equivalent to that of a deputy hall master of one of the 9 bloodlines. Even the Holy Sun would find it difficult to order him around. Chen Song glanced at Ling Xiao indifferently and said, "Very well. Then I will tell you directly. A genius of the Ghost Devil clan has recently appeared in the divine space. He is very powerful and incomparably ferocious. His cultivation is at the great divine king realm. Many inner disciples of the war god temple have already died in his hands. Therefore, the sect needs you to lead a team to kill that genius of the Ghost Devil clan. It would be best if you can capture him alive." Genius of the Ghost Devil clan. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. Not only were there human geniuses training in the god-devil space, there were also many devil geniuses. They were proud to hunt down human geniuses to sharpen their cultivation. It was an extremely powerful place. The demon race's talent was originally slightly stronger than the human race. Therefore, demon geniuses in the same realm were always extremely ferocious. "That's right. You will lead the team this time. There will be 4 inner disciples accompanying you. I hope you can kill that genius of the Ghost Devil clan this time. As long as you can kill him, each of you will be rewarded with 10,000 contribution points. If you can capture him alive, the contribution points will be doubled." Chen Song said slowly. Chen Song's voice was very cold and carried an undeniable fluctuation. This was a task assigned by the mission hall. There was no room for Ling Xiao to refuse. What information about that genius of the Ghost Devil clan? For example, his appearance, aura, secret technique, and cultivation? Ling Xiao asked calmly. He could feel Chen Song's malice, and he knew that the pursuit of the Ghost Devil clan's geniuses was probably just a pretense. "No matter what, when I reach the divine space, I'm afraid that whoever wants to kill me will have nowhere to hide." Ling Xiao sneered in his heart. The genius of the Ghost Devil clan is very ferocious. I only know that his cultivation is most likely at the great divine king realm, not the half-saint realm. You'll have to rely on your own investigation. Alright, the 4 inner sanctum disciples you've teamed up with are all outside. Go out and meet up with them, and then set off immediately. Chen Song glanced at Ling Xiao indifferently. Then, light flickered around him, and a faint holy light spread out. In an instant, he disappeared in front of Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao sneered and turned to leave the technique hall. Outside the technique hall, there were already 4 figures waiting. The 4 figures were 3 men and 1 woman. The 3 men all had different temperaments. One of them was like an elegant scholar, while the other 2 had fierce-looking faces and burly figures. Their faces were somewhat similar, and they looked like a pair of brothers. The woman was wearing a red dress. She had a voluptuous figure and a beautiful face. She had a pair of large eyes that could steal one's soul. One look at her and one would be unable to extricate themselves. The 2 fierce-looking young men couldn't hide the passion in their eyes when they saw the woman in the red dress. After Ling Xiao came out, the 4 inner sanctum disciples had different expressions. However, they all cupped their fists at Ling Xiao at the same time and said, "Greetings, Senior Brother Long." Ling Xiao could sense the look in their eyes. There were sneers, surprise, and disdain. However, they quickly regained their composure. No need for formalities. You all know our mission, right? Ling Xiao glanced at the 4 of them and said. The 4 inner sanctum disciples in front of him were all at the great divine king realm. Their auras were extremely powerful. They were probably the most outstanding among the inner sanctum disciples. They had the arrogance of a genius. "We know. Senior Brother Long, you're our leader. We'll listen to you. You must protect junior sister well," the woman in the red dress said with a smile. Her eyes were like silk, and her voice was soft. She looked delicate and pitiful. "Since you know, there's no time to lose. Let's set off now." Ling Xiao looked calm as if he didn't notice the woman in the red dress at all. He leaped towards the teleportation gate of the war god temple. However, Ling Xiao could sense that the 2 fierce-looking young men were looking at him with hostility because of the woman in the red dress. "You want to play with me? Then I'll play with you." Ling Xiao sneered in his heart. The 4 inner sanctum disciples didn't look like they were following him to hunt the geniuses of the ghost devil clan. Instead, they looked more like people who were monitoring him. Although they hid well, Ling Xiao could still sense the malice in their hearts. The teleportation gate of the War God Temple was one of the most important places in the War God Temple. Not only was there a void teleportation formation that crossed the heavenly domain, there were also teleportation gates that led to various secret realms. The War God Temple had a deep foundation. The sect had already occupied several ancient secret realms and opened them up. They were the best places for the disciples of the War God Temple to train. The teleportation gate that led to the divine devil space was also here. Ling Xiao also knew the names of the 4 inner sanctum disciples. The scholarly young man was called Wang Chuan, the fierce-looking 2 brothers were called Wei Zhen and Wei Xing, and the woman in the red dress was called Lu Xian. Although they didn't mention which faction they were from, Ling Xiao had already vaguely guessed that they weren't disciples of the Thunder Hall. After all, if the disciples of the Thunder Hall followed him into the divine devil space, it would be too easy to investigate if something happened to him. The person who wanted to deal with him in the dark shouldn't be so stupid. Buzz! The portal shone brightly. When Ling Xiao and the others opened their eyes again, they saw a gray sky. The void was filled with chaotic fiend god Qi. They appeared in a huge city. Shangqing Ancient City. This ancient city was jointly managed by the 4 immortal holy lands of the Shangqing Celestial Domain. In addition to the War God Temple, the Heavenly Curse Sect, the 5 Elements Saint Sect, and the 9-layer Imperial Obelisk were also in the Shangqing Celestial Domain. The Divine Devil Space was located between the God World and the Devil World. It was once the ancient battlefield of the Great War of Gods and Devils. It was suppressed by the laws of the God World and the Devil World, and couldn't accommodate the power of the Saint Tao. Even if a saint entered it, his strength would be reduced to less than 1%. Even a half-step saint expert would be greatly suppressed. Only God Realm experts wouldn't be affected in the slightest. Therefore, Ling Xiao could sense that most of the people in Shangqing Ancient City were God-level experts. However, there were very few semi-sage experts. After all, their cultivation had been suppressed. So, even a semi-sage expert would be in danger of dying here. Senior Brother Long, 3 days ago, a genius of the Ghost Devil clan killed 2 of our War God Temple's inner disciples in the Chaotic Devil Ridge. Why don't we go to the Chaotic Devil Ridge to investigate? Lu Xian's eyes twinkled as she smiled at Ling Xiao. Good. Let's go directly to the Chaotic Devil Ridge. Chapter 1591. Ling Xiao and the other 4 didn't stay in Shangqing Ancient City for long. They left the city and headed straight for the Chaotic Demon Ridge. After Ling Xiao and the others left Shangqing Ancient City, Shui Hua and a black-robed man sat opposite each other in a tea house. Fellow Gu, Long Outyen has left Shangqing Ancient City and is heading straight for the Chaotic Demon Ridge. Shui Hua's eyes flashed as he said to the black-robed man. The black-robed man was called Gu Chen. He was handsome and had an extremely feminine temperament. He was tall and slender, with loose black hair. His eyes were long and narrow, as if there was a blade light shooting out from them. His aura was unfathomable, which made Shui Hua extremely solemn. Fellow Shui, Long Outyen is only an early divine king. Even if his talent is good and his battle prowess is passable, is there a need for you to treat him so seriously? Gu Chen said indifferently. Fellow Gu, Long Outyen can't be underestimated. Although he's only an early divine king, he once defeated a great divine king disciple of my Thunder Hall with 3 punches. This time, he must die. So to ensure that nothing goes wrong, I asked Brother Gu to help me. Shui Hua's eyes flashed as he said slowly. I'm really curious. What's so special about Long Outyen? Since that's the case, I'll go with Fellow Shui. However, Fellow Shui, don't forget what you promised me. Gu Chen said indifferently. Fellow Gu, don't worry. As long as the person you mentioned appears, he'll definitely die with the 2 of us working together. Shui Hua smiled confidently. Gu Chen was about to say something when his eyes suddenly flashed, revealing a strange expression. Fellow Taoist Xue, I'm afraid we don't have to wait any longer. That person has already appeared. What a coincidence, he is also in the Chaotic Demon Ridge. The Chaotic Demon Ridge was only a few 100,000 miles away from Shangqing ancient city. Ling Xiao and the others traveled at full speed and arrived in less than a day. The Chaotic Fiend Ridge was a huge mountain ridge that stretched for tens of thousands of kilometers. It looked like a huge dragon that was hibernating, and it was shrouded in extremely chaotic fiend god qi all year round. Not only were there powerful divine beasts and demonic beasts in the Chaotic Devil Ridge, but there were also many ancient ominous formations. It was a huge ruin. 3 days ago, 2 disciples of the War God Temple were exploring this ruin. They encountered a genius of the Ghost Devil clan and were killed here. If it wasn't for one of the disciples sending back a message before his death, no one would have known that they were killed by a genius from the Ghost Devil clan. However, the soul pulses and auras of the disciples of the War God Hall would be recorded beforehand. Ling Xiao's group of 5 had all cultivated techniques that could capture soul pulses and auras, so it was not difficult for them to find the corpses of the 2 disciples of the War God Hall. The 5 of them entered the Demon Chaos Ridge. According to the pulses of their souls, they found the corpses of the 2 disciples of the War God Hall in a valley very quickly. However, they had already been reduced to dried corpses. Their flesh and blood had been sucked out of their bodies. Their foreheads were split open, and their faces were filled with extreme pain. They must have suffered a great deal of torture before they died. However, the genius of the Ghost Devil clan did not erase their auras and left their corpses there. They were extremely savage and arrogant. Even Ling Xiao's face could not help but darken when he saw the corpses of the 2 disciples of the War God Hall. His eyes were cold. Senior Brother Long, we must avenge them. Lu Xiener said with some anger. Senior Brother Long, 3 days have passed. I'm afraid the genius of the Ghost Devil clan is no longer in the Chaotic Fiend Ridge. Wang Chuan, who was a man of few words, said calmly. They wanted to use the 2 corpses to search for traces of the genius of the Ghost Devil clan, but Ling Xiao also discovered that the genius of the Ghost Devil clan was extremely vicious. The 2 disciples of the War God Hall, who were at least at the Great Perfection Divine King realm, were killed without any resistance. Ling Xiao could sense a faint demonic qi emanating from the 2 corpses. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He then pretended to check on the 2 corpses without batting an eyelid. He then quietly absorbed the demonic qi into his body and integrated it into the wordless heavenly book. The demonic qi was extremely weak, but through the wordless heavenly book, Ling Xiao could vaguely sense the faint fluctuation of the owner of the demonic qi. It's not far from here. The genius of the Ghost Devil clan is very likely to still be in the Chaotic Fiend Ridge. Ling Xiao remained calm and said indifferently, no matter what, since we're in the Chaotic Fiend Ridge, let's check it out. Should we split up or go together? Wei Zhen said in a muffled voice, Senior Brother Long, let's go together. The genius of the Ghost Devil clan is too savage. If we split up, it'll be troublesome if he defeats us one by one. That's right, let's go together. Lu Xiener said with a smile. Ling Xiao nodded and sneered in his heart. He knew that the 4 of them were spies and would not let him out of their sight. However, Ling Xiao did not care. He already had a vague feeling that the mastermind behind this was about to appear. Then let's go to the Chaotic Fiend Ridge and check it out. Ling Xiao said indifferently. He ignored the 4 of them and went straight into the depths of the Chaotic Fiend Ridge. Wang Chuan, Lu Xiener, and the other 3 looked at each other and hurriedly followed. Ling Xiao restrained his aura. It seemed like he was just casually checking, but in fact, he had locked onto the demonic qi fluctuation with the wordless heavenly book and headed in the direction of the owner of the demonic qi. Ling Xiao knew that it would not be long before he would be able to see the genius of the Ghost Devil clan. Ling Xiao thought to himself as he moved forward. He had tested his skills in the War God Temple and defeated Wu Chen with 3 punches. If the mastermind behind this wanted to kill him, they would not send Divine King experts. Wang Chuan, Lu Xiener, and the other three should not be the main force. They could only be regarded as spies. The main force was someone else. A half-saint expert. Ling Zhao's heart skipped a beat. In order to deal with him, the mastermind would at most send a low-level half-saint expert. Ling Zhao was not afraid of a low-level half-saint expert with his various trump cards. Buzz. Ling Zhao and the other four had already climbed up the huge mountain and were heading towards the depths of the chaotic Fiend Ridge. There was a mass of Fiend God Qi in the depths of the chaotic Fiend Ridge. It was very chaotic. The void was trembling slightly as if there was a mysterious fluctuation spreading out. A gleam of light flashed through Ling Zhao's eyes. He actually saw a cluster of dilapidated buildings in front of him. Most of them were dilapidated palaces and pavilions. They were surrounded by countless huge boulders, giving off an ancient and decaying aura. Those buildings were very strange. He could faintly see that the domes of the palaces were round. There were also some pointed towers, exuding an exotic charm. Chapter 1592. Senior Brother Long, this should be the remains of a sect from the ancient times. I have explored this place before, but I didn't find anything. Even if there is an inheritance, it should have been obtained by someone else. Lu Xiener said quickly when she saw that Ling Zhao seemed to be interested in the dilapidated buildings. Oh. Then we have to check it out. Maybe the genius of the Ghost Devil clan is hiding here. Ling Zhao smiled and walked forward. Ling Zhao had already felt that according to the wordless heavenly book's lock on the trace of demon qi, the genius of the Ghost Devil clan should be here. However, he still needed to find the exact location. Ling Zhao was a little curious. Could it be that there was an inheritance in this dilapidated place that had not been discovered? Otherwise, why would the genius of the Ghost Devil clan still stay in the chaotic Demon Ridge? As for Wang Chuan, Lu Xiener, and the others, there was a faint sneer in their eyes. The genius of the Ghost Devil clan was hiding here. Naturally, they did not believe it at all. However, their task was to keep Ling Zhao in the chaotic Demon Ridge and wait for Xuehua's arrival. Ling Zhao was willing to waste a little more time in this place. Although they felt disdain in their hearts, it was exactly what they wanted. Everything was to keep Ling Zhao safe. They followed Ling Zhao into the dilapidated buildings in front of them. Ling Zhao did not care about the four people who had ulterior motives. Instead, he carefully examined the buildings. This dilapidated building complex was very vast. It could be vaguely seen that at its peak, there were at least hundreds of palaces and pavilions that rose and fell together. However, it was completely ruined now. There were some broken tiles under his feet, as well as some weapons that had lost their spirituality. Time was the greatest force. No matter how magnificent or prosperous you were, you would eventually turn into a pile of dust. Ling Zhao sighed in his heart. However, he still spread out the power of his primordial spirit and activated the power of the wordless heavenly book. He carefully examined, trying to find some clues. Until now, no one had discovered it. It must be hidden very deeply. Genesis. Ling Zhao's eyes were attracted by an ancient plaque. The ancient plaque was covered with cracks like a spider web. It was written in the ancient seal script and was casually discarded in front of a dilapidated palace. This plaque was too ordinary, so ordinary that very few people noticed it. Ling Zhao almost ignored it, but the slight trembling of the wordless heavenly book reminded him. This signboard seemed to contain an incomparably mystical power that could make people automatically ignore its existence. However, the more it was like this, the more it seemed that this signboard was not simple. What a strange plaque, it seems to have some kind of seal. A sharp light flashed through Ling Zhao's eyes. He carefully observed the two words and discovered that they contained extremely minute spatial ripples. It seemed to be some sort of sealing power. The power of the seal was extremely complicated, but after countless years, the power of the seal had become very weak. Did the genius of the Ghost Devil clan enter this seal? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed, and the light in his palm landed on the word Genesis. Boom! A vast devouring power burst out. Ling Xiao did not choose to study the power of the seal. Instead, he directly activated the sky-devouring secret skill. Immediately, rays of light surged into the two words and began to devour the power of the seal. The heavenly devouring secret skill could devour everything. At its peak, it could even devour thousands of worlds. It often had a miraculous effect on formations and seals. Therefore, Ling Xiao chose to directly break the seal with brute force. Senior Long, what are you doing? Ling Xiao's action attracted the attention of Wang Chuan, Lu Xiener, and the other three. They all gathered around with curiosity in their eyes. Of course, I'm looking for the genius of the Ghost Devil clan. That guy might be hiding here. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Kacha! A crisp sound rang out, and suddenly, the earth trembled slightly. In front of Ling Xiao, a strange light door appeared in the dilapidated palace, leading to the depths of the earth. What? Wang Chuan, Lu Xiener, and the other three were stunned. They originally wanted to scoff at Ling Xiao, but they did not expect that there was really something hidden here. Suddenly, they felt a little nervous. Could it be that Long Outyen had guessed correctly? At the thought of the ferocity of the genius of the Ghost Devil clan, Wang Chuan, Lu Xiener, and the other three's faces became a little ugly. Let's go. Ling Xiao looked at the four of them with a smile that was not a smile. They gritted their teeth and followed Ling Xiao into the door of light. Buzz! Bright light filled the air, and the five of them entered an underground palace through the light door. A rotten and ancient aura pervaded the air, and the void exuded an incomparably dense demonic aura. It was even a little eerie, and it made them feel as if they had entered the Nine Nether Hell. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he began to look around. This was an incomparably huge underground palace, and there were some powerful weapons placed around. There were also many corpses, but all of them had lost their spirituality, and were no different from ordinary stones and soil. In the center of the underground palace, there was a black corpse sitting cross-legged, surrounded by dense black demonic aura. The corpse still exuded a powerful aura, and on top of the corpse's head, there was a blooming black lotus. A figure in a black robe, with his back facing Ling Xiao and the others, was refining the black lotus. The aura around him was extremely powerful, and it seemed like he was about to break through the limit of the complete Divine King realm and reach the Sage-to-be realm. Boom! As if he had felt the aura of Ling Xiao and the others, the black-robed figure exuded a terrifying aura. He turned his head instantly, and two cold, cruel, and dark rays of light shot out from his eyes. It was a young man in a black robe. Although he looked no different from a human and was very handsome, there were two black horns on his head. His eyes were cruel and cold, and the ghostly aura around him instantly filled the entire underground palace. That kind of evil power made Wang Chuan and Lu Xiener tremble uncontrollably, and their faces changed drastically. You are the genius of the Ghost Devil clan? Lu Xiener's voice trembled, and she could not help but ask. Human ants, how dare you come here? You're only fit to be food. Since you're here, stay here. The black-robed young man smiled cruelly, and stood up instantly, exuding a terrifying aura. His words made the hearts of Lu Xiener, Wang Chuan, and the others sink. The black-robed young man in front of them was really the genius of the Ghost Devil clan. Ling Xiao had hit the nail on the head. Chapter 1593. Wang Chuan, Lu Xiener, Wei Zhen and Wei Xing followed Ling Xiao into the Divine Devil space. Nominally, they were here to kill the genius of Ghost Devil clan, but in reality, they were here to deal with Ling Xiao. Wang Chuan, Lu Xiener, and the other three were here to monitor Ling Xiao, while Xue Hua was here to kill Ling Xiao. They brought Ling Xiao to the chaotic Devil Ridge to investigate the cause of the death of the disciple of War God Temple, just to wait for Xue Hua's arrival. In their opinion, since the disciple of War God Temple had died 3 days ago, the genius of Ghost Devil clan should have already left the chaotic Devil Ridge. It was impossible for him to wait for the experts of War God Temple to kill him. However, they didn't expect that Ling Xiao would really find an underground palace, and the genius of Ghost Devil Clan was inside. Wang Chuan, Lu Xian, and the other three didn't want to fight the genius of Ghost Devil Clan. There were more than a dozen great Divine King experts who had died in the hands of the genius of Ghost Devil Clan. The 5 of them wanted to kill the genius of Ghost Devil Clan, but it was uncertain who would be the one to die. Their luck was really bad. Ling Xiao didn't care about their resentment, but carefully observed the genius of Ghost Devil Clan. The black-robed youth in front of him had a terrifying aura, far surpassing that of an ordinary great Divine King expert. He was probably not much weaker than a First Revolution half-saint. The black skeleton was obviously the skeleton of a saint. Although countless years had passed, it still emitted a faint saint's aura. The Black Lotus wasn't an ordinary object either, as the genius of Ghost Devil Clan was refining the mysterious energy in the Black Lotus. Moreover, Ling Xiao could feel the fluctuation of tribulation chi from the Black Lotus. Ghost Devil Clan, how dare you kill the disciple of War God Temple? You really don't know the meaning of death. If you surrender now, I might give you a quick death. Otherwise, I'll make you suffer a life or death dilemma. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, looking straight at the genius of Ghost Devil Clan. Huh? You're just an early Divine King, how dare you talk to me like that? What are the disciples of War God Temple? I've killed a lot of disciples of your 4 great holy lands, and it was a wonderful taste. Originally, I planned to hunt down a few more human experts after coming out of seclusion. I didn't expect you to deliver yourselves to me. Since that's the case, you ants of the human race should obediently become my food. The genius of the Ghost Devil Clan licked his lips. His eyes were bloodshot as he said cruelly. At this moment, Wang Chuan and Lu Xianer were incomparably depressed. They even wanted the genius of the Ghost Devil Clan to directly kill Ling Xiao. However, this was only a thought. At this time, they had to unite against a common enemy. Otherwise, they would all die here today. Senior Brother Long, let's kill him together. Wang Chuan's eyes shone with unparalleled sharpness. Blazing sword intent circled around him, making him look like an unsheathed divine sword. That's right. Senior Brother Long, your battle prowess is extraordinary. A mere genius of the Ghost Devil Clan is no match for you. We'll support you and kill him directly. Lu Xianer, Wei Zhen, and Wei Xing's eyes were filled with incomparable decisiveness. They had secretly informed Senior Brother Shuehua. As long as Senior Brother Shuehua arrived, no matter if it was the genius of the Ghost Devil Clan or Long Outyen, they would all die. What they needed to do now was to stall for time and preserve their strength. Ants of the human race, you still want to resist? You really don't know the meaning of death. The genius of the Ghost Devil Clan sneered. Although he was curious about how Ling Xiao and the other 4 entered the underground palace, he was too lazy to ask. He was incomparably confident in his own strength. As long as he captured the 5 humans in front of him, he could directly interrogate them. Boom! The void trembled. The genius of the Ghost Devil Clan exuded a terrifying aura. It sounded like the wailing of ghosts and howling of wolves. A black light flashed around his body. In an instant, he appeared in front of Wang Chuan and Lu Xianer. His sharp and slender nails were directly aimed at their hearts. Wang Chuan and Lu Xianer were so depressed that they almost vomited blood. Was there something wrong with this genius of the Ghost Devil Clan? They had clearly said that Long Outyen was powerful, but this genius of the Ghost Devil Clan still came straight for them. Clang! A sharp ancient sword appeared in Wang Chuan's palm. The sword light was incomparably blazing and extraordinary. It directly slashed down on the genius of the Ghost Devil Clan's arm. A scarlet feather fan appeared in Lu Xianer's hand. With a wave of her fan, a vast sea of fire appeared. It was as if a flaming divine bird flew out and pounced on the genius of the Ghost Devil Clan. The power of the Ghost Devil Clan was mostly of the dark and evil attribute. It would be restrained by the power of thunder, fire, and other extreme yang energy. The feather fan in Lu Xianer's hand was extraordinary. It was a damaged saint artifact, but its power was not bad. Boom! The genius of the Ghost Devil clan sneered. His 10 fingernails clanged like sharp swords. One of his palms clasped the ancient sword in Wang Chuan's hand, shattering the sword light that filled the sky. The other palm was not afraid of the flaming divine bird at all. It directly grabbed the flaming divine bird in his palm and crushed it. Flames filled the void and sword chi rose. The genius of the Ghost Devil clan intertwined his palms, and with lightning speed, he suddenly slapped on Wang Chuan and Lu Xiener's chests. Immediately, they vomited blood and were sent flying backward. Kill! Wei Zhen and Wei Xing roared. A huge mountain-splitting axe appeared in each of their hands. Divine force gushed out from their bodies. They were suffused with a yellow light. With an incomparably heavy momentum, they chopped towards the genius of the Ghost Devil clan. Their vital energy and blood were boiling. Their muscles contained explosive power. There was a faint wind and thunder aura around them. Ants, you don't know what power is. The genius of the Ghost Devil clan showed a trace of disdain in his eyes. His body swayed and suddenly, several afterimages appeared in the void. His sharp fingernails slashed through the void and collided with the 2 mountain-splitting axes. Immediately, bright sparks burst out. The genius of the Ghost Devil clan used his ingenious strength to disperse the violent force contained in the mountain-splitting axes. Then, he directly slashed Wei Zhen and Wei Xing's chests, leaving a few deep bloody marks. Moreover, strands of black ghost chi were creeping into their bodies, causing their expressions to change drastically. They hurriedly retreated. Senior Brother Long, save us. Your combat strength is extraordinary. You have even killed a First Revolution half-saint. This is just a Ghost Devil expert. You can kill him with just 1 finger. Lu Xiener's face was full of anxiety. She immediately shouted at Ling Xiao. At this moment, Ling Xiao had already used the teleportation secret technique to evade the Ghost Devil clan's attack. He was just in time to observe the Ghost Devil clan's attack on Wang Chuan, Lu Xiener, Wei Zhen, and Wei Xing. Lu Xiener's voice attracted the attention of the genius of the Ghost Devil clan. His gaze fell on Ling Xiao. Interesting, human ant. I feel that your flesh is incomparably delicious. Let's see how strong you are. The genius of the Ghost Devil clan licked his lips. Ghost chi whistled around his body. In a flash, he pounced on Ling Xiao. Chapter 1594. The eyes of the genius from Ghost Devil clan were red and blazing. He could feel the powerful blood chi and majestic life essence in Ling Xiao's body, which made him tremble with excitement. The flesh and blood of human experts was the best food for the Ghost Devil clan. Not only was it delicious, but it could also increase one's cultivation by devouring human flesh and blood. Rumble. Ghostly shadows appeared in the void, emitting sharp whistling sounds. Their sharp nails intertwined like sword light and shrouded Ling Xiao. That cold aura seemed to contain the power of extreme coldness, which could almost completely freeze a person. Ghost Devil clan. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply. This time, he did not dodge. Instead, he threw out a simple punch. Kacha! Golden lightning exploded. Incomparably violent energy gushed out from Ling Xiao's body, converging into a vast chaotic fist print. It seemed to be able to suppress the heavens and suppress all directions. It directly flew towards the genius from Ghost Devil clan. Especially Ling Xiao's arm, which was filled with noble purple qi, instantly became extremely resplendent. It was like a purple heavenly river traversing the void, unstoppable. The genius from Ghost Devil clan shuddered. His eyes were filled with incomparable shock. He could feel an incomparably terrifying energy fluctuation from this punch. Immediately, he roared without thinking. Ghost Shadow Saint Sword. In an instant, the ghostly shadows in the sky converged together, forming a blazing sword light that shot towards Ling Xiao's vital points. At the same time, the genius from Ghost Devil clan seemed to have exploded, turning into countless black shadows that shot out in all directions. The genius from Ghost Devil Clan also felt the terror of Ling Xiao's punch. He did not dare to take it head-on and chose to dodge. Rumble. Ling Xiao's expression did not change. He was still incomparably calm and indifferent. His fist print was indomitable. Faint chaotic light enveloped the heavens. In an instant, it collided with the ghostly sword chi that filled the sky, erupting with the sound of metal clashing. His fist print was like a vast world. It actually sucked in the ghostly sword chi that filled the sky and exploded in an instant. Dazzling divine light swept across the sky, blowing away half of the ghosts in the sky. Finally, the genius of the Ghost Devil Clan appeared in the void. His eyes were filled with disbelief, and his aura had weakened a little. Previously, he had transformed into a sky full of ghostly shadows in an attempt to avoid Ling Xiao's punch. He did not expect that he would still be affected. One had to know that each of the ghostly shadows was formed from his power. Every time one of them was destroyed, his power would weaken by a bit. Brat, you're courting death. The genius of the Ghost Devil Clan became furious. Black ghost energy rose around his body. In a flash, his aura skyrocketed. A mysterious vortex appeared behind him, emitting an ancient and monstrous aura. A phantom of a ghost saint emerged from within. With a flash of light, it pounced towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He could feel that the ghost saint's shadow was very powerful. It had the strength of a first revolution half-saint. Its attack contained the original strength of death. It was very terrifying. Bang! Ling Xiao threw out a punch, colliding with the ghost saint's shadow. However, it was like punching cotton. The ghost saint's shadow directly exploded, emitting a sharp whistling sound. It turned into layers of ghostly shadows, trying to drill into Ling Xiao's body. Those ghostly shadows emitted the aura of death, like maggots in a tarsal bone. One could imagine that once they invaded one's body, one's life essence would be sucked dry in an instant. Come, lightning! Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he softly spat out a word. Rumble. Instantly, the lightning around his body blazed. A vast and majestic lightning gushed out from his body. Golden lightning streaked across the sky, intertwining with an incomparably violent destructive force. There was even a faint shadow of the mysterious Lightning Emperor behind Ling Xiao. Lightning Emperor Technique. Ling Xiao had obtained the inheritance of the Lightning Emperor Technique. This kind of incomparably fierce lightning energy was the nemesis of those ghostly figures. Amidst the lightning that filled the sky, those ghostly figures seemed to have been struck by lightning. Although they were not annihilated in an instant, their bodies began to tremble. Fire, come! Ling Xiao shouted again. In an instant, the heaven-devouring divine fire gushed out from his body. It flowed with an ancient and mysterious aura, shrouding the ghostly shadows in the sky. Boom! The ghostly shadows that filled the sky exploded in an instant. Then, they were swept up by the heaven-devouring divine fire, turning into the purest energy and entering Ling Xiao's body. If that's all you have, you'd better die. Ling Xiao's eyes were indifferent. Lightning and flames lingered around his body like an invincible god of war. He soared into the sky and charged towards the genius of Ghost Devil Clan. With Ling Xiao's current strength, he did not even put Divine King Realm experts in his eyes, not even the genius of Ghost Devil Clan. Who the hell are you? You're just an early Divine King Realm expert. How can you possess such terrifying strength? Could it be that you're a genius of the Emperor Clan? The genius of Ghost Devil Clan trembled. His eyes were filled with an ugly expression. The Ghost Saint's shadow was the power of the Ghost Saint of the Ghost Devil Clan. It was extremely powerful. It could erupt with the strength of a First Revolution half-saint. However, it was still obliterated by Ling Xiao's lightning flames. His face became extremely unsightly. I'm a disciple of War God Temple. Ling Xiao said indifferently. His blazing fist covered the sky and pressed down on the genius of Ghost Devil Clan. Die! That genius from Ghost Devil Clan also went berserk. His aura rose, and a blazing sword light pierced towards Ling Xiao's glabella. It was an extremely ruthless move. He wanted to perish together with his opponent. The sword light contained a terrifying Saint Dao energy that seemed to be able to tear apart everything. If it was an ordinary person, he would have chosen to dodge immediately. Otherwise, the genius of Ghost Devil Clan might not necessarily die. However, if the sword light pierced through his glabella and sea of consciousness, he would probably die instantly. The geniuses of the Ghost Devil Clan also wanted to attack Ling Xiao. Kacha! Ling Xiao's eyes were incomparably calm. He didn't even look at the sword light. His fist moved forward and blasted towards the chest of the genius of Ghost Devil Clan. Despicable human, die. The genius of Ghost Devil Clan revealed a trace of madness in his eyes. He activated the terrifying energy around his body, causing the sword light's power to reach the extreme. Rumble. Blazing divine light erupted. Ling Xiao's fist landed on the genius of Ghost Devil Clan. However, the genius of Ghost Devil Clan also pierced Ling Xiao's glabella with his sword. The divine light shrouded everything in the sky. Wang Chuan, Lu Xian, and the others couldn't help but change their expressions. Is Senior Brother Long really dead? Wang Chuan and Lu Xian were struggling. They were even anxious. They had followed Ling Xiao into the underground palace. However, the seal to enter had been broken by Ling Xiao, but the seal to exit was still there. They were like turtles in a jar. They could only watch the battle in front of them. There was no way for them to escape at all. Although they couldn't wait for Ling Xiao to be killed by the genius of the Ghost Devil Clan, Ling Xiao's battle prowess was just too terrifying. That kind of power just now had made the four of them tremble all over. They also understood that they were no match for Ling Xiao. However, once Ling Xiao died, the genius of Ghost Devil Clan would probably deal with them next. I hope Senior Brother Shui can arrive soon. Lu Xian's eyes revealed a trace of anxiety. Chapter 1595. Boom! A terrifying force exploded. The Ghost Devil Clan's genius trembled as half of his body turned into a bloody mist. He was sent flying, his body was badly injured. When his blazing ghost shadow sacred sword was about to pierce Ling Xiao's forehead, it felt as though it was blocked by a hard object. It could not advance any further. How is this possible? The Ghost Devil Clan's genius roared in disbelief as he spurted out blood. His ghost shadow sacred sword was actually unable to pierce through Ling Xiao's forehead. Then, Ling Xiao's purple arms suddenly chopped down, and the sword light exploded. Nothing is impossible. You are weak and I am strong. Therefore, I will live if you die. Ling Xiao said indifferently. His figure walked out of the divine light that filled the sky. His expression was indifferent and calm, and his eyes were blazing with divine light. He didn't choose to block the ghost shadow sacred sword from the Ghost Devil race's genius. Instead, he used the Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablet to block it. Ling Xiao had already refined 9 Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablets. Even though he didn't reveal it out of caution, it wasn't a problem to use it to block the injury on his forehead. Wang! Ghost Qi rose around the Ghost Devil Clan's genius and condensed into another body. However, his aura was extremely weak and his eyes were filled with killing intent. You are wrong. Today, it is not you who is strong and I who is weak. Today, you will die. The Ghost Devil Clan's genius's eyes were filled with madness. Ghost Qi surged around him as he spurted out a mouthful of blood that landed on the Black Lotus. Ancient Ghost Saint, awaken. The Ghost Devil Clan's genius roared as he spurted out a few more mouthfuls of blood that landed on the Black Lotus. The Black Lotus turned blood red in an instant. An ancient and terrifying wave spread out, causing the underground palace to tremble violently. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He saw that the black skeleton was actually trembling violently. Then, it stood up directly from the ground, exuding an incomparably terrifying aura. 2 balls of black flames appeared from its sunken eye sockets. They were cold and cruel and filled with killing intent as they landed on Ling Xiao's body. You actually used a secret technique to communicate with the ghost saint's remnant soul? Interesting. But do you think this broken saint bone can save you? Ling Xiao sneered. He could see that the genius of the Ghost Devil clan was using a secret method to communicate with the remnant soul in the saint bone and temporarily summon a part of its power. The main reason for this was the Black Lotus. It was the source of the ghost saint's power. Human ant, you made me lose my 9 tribulations Ghost Lotus. You must die. The genius from the Ghost Devil clan growled, his face filled with pain. Obviously, the Black Lotus was extremely useful to him, but he had no choice but to give it up in order to deal with Ling Xiao. This made him even more furious. Bang! 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 The ghost saint's skeleton stood up and took a step forward, causing the earth to tremble violently. The underground palace seemed to be on the verge of collapsing. The Black Lotus became even more dazzling, causing the aura of the ghost saint's skeleton to skyrocket. In the blink of an eye, the aura of the ghost saint's corpse surpassed that of the Ghost Devil clan's genius and became increasingly unfathomable. Damn it, what the hell is this? Wei Zhen and Wei Xing's eyes were filled with incomparable terror. The ghost saint's skeleton made their scalps go numb. The aura of the ghost saint's skeleton made them feel as if they were facing an elder or a deputy palace master of a sect. Wang Chuan and Lu Xiener's expression changed drastically as they involuntarily retreated. Senior Brother Long, you must protect Xiener. Quickly kill this bastard from the Ghost Devil clan. Lu Xiener pretended to be pitiful and said. Get lost. Ling Xiao said somewhat impatiently. His eyes revealed a trace of seriousness. The ghost saint's skeleton was indeed very powerful. Ling Xiao was already prepared to take out the mysterious Kuan sword to deal with it. At this moment, the wordless heavenly book in Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness suddenly trembled slightly, sending out waves of excitement as if it had encountered a supreme delicacy. Rumble. Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness shone brightly in an instant as streaks of 9-colored divine rainbows shot out from between his eyebrows. In the blink of an eye, they turned into a giant 9-colored net and enveloped the ghost saint's skeleton. The ghost saint's skeleton struggled violently as it let out a monstrous roar. The ghost aura around it was monstrous and the Black Lotus trembled violently, emitting waves of incomparable fear. However, no matter how the ghost saint's skeleton struggled, it was unable to break free from the giant 9-colored net. The net tightened and pulled the skeleton towards the center of Ling Xiao's eyebrows. What? This sudden turn of events not only stunned Wang Chuan, Lu Xiener, and the others, but also the Ghost Devil clan's genius. The Ghost Devil clan's genius was counting on the ghost saint's skeleton to kill all the abominable humans. Who would have thought that something like this would happen? Roar! The Black Lotus also began to struggle violently. In an instant, it bloomed, and an incomparably terrifying ghostly figure appeared. It looked ferocious and terrifying, with 2 horns on its head and black scales all over its body. It was extremely ferocious and looked at Ling Xiao with eyes filled with incomparable fury. However, he only had time to roar before he was pulled into Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness by the giant 9-colored net. Then, he was swallowed by the wordless heavenly book. The Ghost Devil clan's genius's eyes twitched as he felt his scalp go numb. How could he not see it now? The ghost saint's remnant soul was actually hidden in the Black Lotus. He was still rashly swallowing the Black Lotus. If it weren't for these humans, he might have already been possessed by the ghost saint. It could be said that he had profited from a disaster. However, the Ghost Devil clan's genius's face was still full of unwillingness. He glared at Ling Xiao and roared, "Despicable human, just you wait. Sooner or later, I will kill you with my own hands." A black jade talisman exploded in his palm and turned into a dazzling light that wrapped around him. Then, he disappeared from the underground palace. There was a trace of regret in Ling Xiao's eyes, but he also felt helpless. He didn't know why the wordless heavenly book had gone crazy and swallowed the ghost saint's skeleton. However, he had no time to chase after the Ghost Devil clan's genius because he had to control the wordless heavenly book. Boom! The Ghost Saint's skeleton and 9 Tribulation Ghost Lotus were both refined by the wordless heavenly book. However, the Tribulation Chi in the 9 Tribulation Ghost Lotus was fed back to Ling Xiao by the wordless heavenly book. It exploded in Ling Xiao's body like a blazing blade, wreaking havoc in his body. Chapter 1596. Wang Chuan, Lu Xian, Wei Zhen, and Wei Xing looked at each other with a complicated and shocked look in their eyes. When the Ghost Saint's skeleton appeared, they were all in despair and thought that they were dead for sure. After all, the aura of the Ghost Saint's skeleton was so terrifying that they didn't even have the strength to resist. However, what they didn't expect was that in the blink of an eye, the Ghost Saint's skeleton was destroyed by Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao became more and more mysterious in their hearts. They even felt a little regretful. Ling Xiao's combat strength was so terrifying that even if senior brother Shuehua came, would he be able to kill him? No, we must inform senior brother Shui about this. Wang Chuan and Lu Xian looked at each other and secretly made up their minds. Boom! However, at this moment, an unforeseen event occurred. A mysterious ghostly shadow silently condensed in the void. It looked at Ling Xiao with incomparable resentment and instantly pounced on Wang Chuan, Lu Xian, and the other 3. The ghostly shadow appeared too suddenly and didn't even have the slightest resistance. Wang Chuan and the other 3 couldn't react in time and were instantly invaded by the ghostly shadow. Ah! What is this? Wang Chuan, Lu Xian, and the other 3's faces changed drastically. They wanted to roar, but they seemed to be strangled by some mysterious existence. Their bodies trembled violently, and their eyes were filled with incomparable horror. They couldn't make the slightest sound at all. They felt that the life in their bodies was rapidly draining away, and a sense of fear and threat of death enveloped them. Their eyes were filled with pleading as they looked at Ling Xiao, hoping that Ling Xiao would save them at this moment. However, Ling Xiao's eyes were tightly shut as he sat cross-legged in the underground palace. His body was shrouded in a mysterious light as if he was in the deepest state of cultivation. He didn't know the situation they were facing at all. However, even if Ling Xiao knew, whether he was willing to save them or not was another matter. Wang Chuan, Lu Xian, and the other 3 were quickly drained of their life essence by the ghostly figure. Even their yuan spirits were completely devoured, turning into 4 dried corpses. Even in death, their eyes were still filled with unwillingness and regret. After devouring Wang Chuan and the other 3 people, the 4 ghost shadows flashed in the void and condensed into a virtual shadow again. It looked a little more solid, with a ferocious face and 2 horns on its head. It was very similar to the ghost shadow in the 9 Tribulations Ghost Lotus. The remnant soul of the Ghost Saint had not been completely destroyed. He looked at Ling Xiao with great resentment, and there was a hint of fear in his eyes. Then, with a flash of light, he disappeared from the underground palace. The remnant soul of the Ghost Saint. After the Ghost Sage left, Ling Xiao's eyes flashed and he slowly opened them. He had also sensed the presence of the ghostly figure earlier, but he was unable to pay attention to it as he was refining the Tribulation Chi. At the same time, the ghostly figure seemed extremely strange. He had directly drained 4 great perfection god kings into dried corpses. Ling Xiao probably would not be able to keep him here. The 9 Tribulations Ghost Lotus had provided Ling Xiao with over 1,000 strands of Tribulation Chi, but it had only condensed half of his left hand. It was not completely solid. It was possible to imagine how much Tribulation Chi he would need towards the end. Ling Xiao could sense how powerful the remnant soul of the Ghost Saint was. He was probably no ordinary saint, or he would not have been able to survive until now. However, the deaths of Wang Chuan, Lu Xian, and the other 3 people saved Ling Xiao the trouble of doing anything. After all, they were all disciples of the War God Hall. If he personally killed them, it would be rather troublesome. Just when Ling Xiao was about to leave the underground palace, a sliver of surprise suddenly appeared in his eyes. He suddenly discovered that there was actually a mysterious plaque in the underground palace as well. There were 2 words written in ancient seal script on it, Ghost King. This plaque seemed to be one with the plaque outside. They both gave off a presence that was easy to overlook. When the 2 were connected, they formed 4 words. Genesis Ghost King. Ling Xiao had never heard of this name before. Perhaps it was because too much time had passed. He did not know which era this supreme figure was from, but he had actually died here. Moreover, Ling Xiao actually sensed the faint ripples of a seal from the 2 words Ghost King. Could it be that there are other secret realms or caves? Ling Xiao's eyes flickered. He immediately used the heaven-devouring secret technique and directly refined the seal on the 2 words Ghost King. This time, Ling Xiao sensed a presence that was similar to the ghostly figures from the seal, but also completely different at the same time. It made Ling Xiao rather confused. Buzz! The underground palace trembled slightly, and a bright light burst out. In the middle of the underground palace, an ancient door with black and white intertwined appeared. It seemed to have appeared out of thin air, giving off strong spatial fluctuations. The ancient door was intertwined with black and white divine light. The black divine light contained evil and deathly stillness fluctuations, while the white divine light contained a holy and vital aura. The 2 kinds of power fluctuations were completely different, but they formed a perfect balance. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He pondered for a moment, but still stepped into the ancient door. Boom! A bright light burst out in front of him, and suddenly the scene changed drastically. Ling Xiao appeared in the void, as if he was overlooking the earth below. However, what he saw in front of him shocked him. This is actually the Demon Disorder Ridge? Ling Xiao muttered to himself. However, he was cautious by nature. He had already used the heaven-shrouding secret technique to conceal his presence. He saw a huge mountain range that stretched for hundreds of thousands of miles, exuding ancient and majestic aura fluctuations. However, most of the mountain was shrouded in a mysterious mass of chaotic energy, and only a part of the mountain was exposed. It was as if it was separated by a layer of space barrier, forming different mysterious scenes. In other words, what Ling Xiao saw now was the real Demon Disorder Ridge. Previously, Ling Xiao, Wang Chuan, and the others saw that the Demon Disorder Ridge was tens of thousands of miles in radius. It was ordinary and unremarkable. That was only a part of it that was exposed. There was a wider area that was hidden. Only now did Ling Xiao see the whole picture. In the shrouded area, the mountains were majestic, stone forests were everywhere, and there were countless broken weapons and huge skeletons, exuding a monstrous evil qi. It was like an azure hell. A sharp light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes, and he instantly leapt towards the shrouded area. This place has been covered in dust for tens of thousands of years. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. This place was like an ancient battlefield. Wind and sand were everywhere, and countless powerful weapons were damaged. They had even lost any spirituality and had become scrap metal. Although countless years had passed, Ling Xiao could still vaguely see that there were powerful human race, demon race, and monster race that were tens of thousands of feet tall or even hundreds of thousands of feet tall. Chapter 1597. Countless years had passed. Ling Xiao could see that the corpses below the Sage Realm had almost rotted and turned into mud. Only the corpses of the Sage Realm still retained some power. They emitted a monstrous baleful aura and even formed an extremely chaotic domain that could tear everything apart. If Ling Xiao's physical body was not strong enough, he might not have been able to withstand the power of the domain. Could this be the beginning of the epoch when the human race and the demon race were fighting for the title of the Epoch Lord? After that battle, the human race became the master of the divine world and started a new epoch. The 9 emperors dominated the ancient times and dominated the heavens. That was the human race's most glorious time. The demon race could only retreat and hide in the demon world to survive. Ling Xiao muttered to himself softly, his voice carrying a hint of a sigh. The human race's most glorious time was during the 9 emperors era. At that time, the human race had many experts. Under the leadership of the 9 emperors, the human race created glory after glory. Even the demon race and the demon race, the overlords of the epoch, had to retreat. This epoch was the human race's epoch. It was created by countless ancestors of the human race. From the tragic traces of the battlefield, one could see the price that the human race had paid. Before the 9 emperors, the human race did not have any great emperor experts. They could only become food for the demon race and other ancient races. That was also the darkest era, an era that many people had forgotten. After the 9 emperors of the human race declined rapidly for thousands of years. Without a great emperor to suppress the world, they could only rely on the blessings of the 9 emperors and hide in the divine world. After countless epochs, the human race has reached the peak of its glory. I'm afraid that they have forgotten the darkness and humiliation of the past. I wonder what will happen to the human race when the great tribulation of the epoch descends. Ling Xiao sighed. Looking at the scene before him, he thought about many things. Without a great emperor to suppress the races, many of them had disappeared in the long river of time. Even if they were once glorious, they had been completely annihilated. For example, the ghost race used to be the lord of an epoch. They used to be extremely glorious and had a great emperor suppressing them. They were invincible in the world. However, they had also declined. Now, the ghost race had been devoured by the devil race and had become a branch of the devil race. Even the ghost world had been devoured by the devil world. Ling Xiao strolled in the chaotic demon ridge. Looking at the traces of battle all over the ground, his thoughts drifted into the distance. He casually moved forward, heading towards the depths of the chaotic demon ridge. Wang! Ling Xiao could feel that the hidden place in the chaotic demon ridge seemed to have turned into a ghost town. The sky was dark and gloomy, and the death chi of the ancient experts gathered and spread toward the central area. Ling Xiao's eyes flickered, and he turned into a faint ray of light, silently moving towards the depths of the chaotic demon ridge. Roar! It was as though ghosts were wailing and wolves were howling. It was also as though there were countless ghosts lingering in the air. Ling Xiao saw that on the tallest mountain peak, there was an ancient altar shrouded in endless black fog. The ancient altar was as red as blood and emitted a monstrous baleful aura. Boundless ghost aura gathered towards the altar from all directions. Ling Xiao could see a boy in a blood-red robe, who looked about 8 or 9 years old, sitting cross-legged on the blood-red altar, exuding an extremely evil wave. The ghost chi in the surroundings gathered towards him. Every time he breathed in and out, there would be ghost chi rising, making his aura stronger and stronger. Around the altar, there were more than a dozen black-robed figures guarding him. Ling Xiao found that one of the black-robed figures was a little weak. Obviously, he was not as strong as the others. Ling Xiao found him very familiar. He was the genius of the ghost devil race. The black-robed figures were all in the divine king realm. They were also breathing in and out the ghost chi around them. Is he trying to break through to the half-saint realm with the help of the altar? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply. He could feel that the blood-robed boy's chi was extremely terrifying, but he was still in the divine king realm. At this moment, he actually showed signs of undergoing the nirvana tribulation. Buzz! Suddenly, the blood-robed boy opened his eyes. 2 cruel and cold rays of blood-red light shot out, landing on the genius of the ghost devil race. Gue Xiong, are you sure no one followed you in here? The blood-robed boy spoke in an extremely ancient voice, causing the surrounding void to tremble slightly. The genius of the ghost devil race, who was the Gue Xiong the blood-robed boy spoke of, immediately knelt down respectfully. Greetings, ancestor. That human is too strong. Gue Xiong is no match for him. However, when Gue Xiong left, he used a teleportation saint talisman. That human shouldn't be able to find this place. Are you sure? The blood-robed boy sneered as a trace of cold killing intent appeared in his eyes. Ancestor, Gue Xiong. Gue Xiong trembled as a sliver of fear appeared in his eyes. He hurriedly prostrated himself on the ground and stopped moving. Friend of the human race, since you've already entered, why hide? Come out. the blood-robed boy said nonchalantly as his voice boomed through the surroundings. Ling Xiao's eyes twitched. Had he been discovered? He could sense that the blood-robed boy was anything but simple. Even he felt threatened by him. However, Ling Xiao was extremely confident in his heaven-shrouding secret technique. He did not show himself just because of what the blood-robed boy had said. He continued to hide to one side. The blood-robed boy's words immediately caused the faces of his subordinates to change. They stood up in a single moment and surrounded the blood-robed boy. They looked around cautiously. Friend of the human race, I'm not tricking you. Do you really want the ancestor to personally invite you out? The blood-robed boy said nonchalantly. His voice had become colder. Ling Xiao's gaze flickered, but he remained motionless. He wondered just where he had slipped in. Could it be that he had used the words Ghost King to enter this place and had alerted the blood-robed boy? Swish! A resplendent streak of light suddenly bloomed in the air. It was like a river in the heavens, parting the ghostly qi in the air in a single moment. The resplendent light illuminated the gloomy surroundings. A black-robed young man strolled over. He radiated with surging sword intent, as if he was the emperor of the sword. He was so sharp that it was impossible to look at him directly. His expression was indifferent, but his eyes were like two divine swords, shining with scorching light. He arrived before the blood-red altar in an instant as he stepped on the sword light. Duguqiubai. Ling Xiao's body trembled as a look of disbelief appeared in his eyes. Chapter 1598. Ling Xiao did not expect to see Duguqiubai here. Duguqiubai was a member of the Hero Alliance. Ling Xiao had seen him in the ancient Supreme City before and had killed countless experts from the Sky Demon clan with him. However, he did not expect Duguqiubai to be here. After all, the ancient Supreme City and Shangqing Ancient City were hundreds of millions of miles apart. Perhaps Duguqiubai had come to the Shangqing Celestial Domain. Duguqiubai looked a little younger, but his cultivation had reached the complete Divine King realm. He was only one step away from the half-saint realm. The sword intent around him was vast and unfathomable. It's really you. Duguqiubai, what do you want? You've been chasing me for almost a year. Do you really think I'm afraid of you? The blood-robed boy's face turned ugly when he saw Duguqiubai. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Blood-robed ancestor, just accept your death. You might have been strong, but unfortunately, your cultivation hasn't fully recovered. It's your honor to die under my sword. Duguqiubai said calmly. His eyes were calm and deep, like the vast ocean. Duguqiubai, you're as arrogant as your name. However, since you want to die today, I'll fulfill your wish. Go, kill him. The blood-robed boy's eyes were filled with murderous intent as he pointed at Duguqiubai. Whoosh! 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 The black-robed experts immediately unleashed their terrifying demonic qi and charged at Duguqiubai without hesitation. Rumble! The heaven and earth shook as mysterious auras intertwined. A blood-red longsword appeared in each of the black-robed experts' hands. Their auras intertwined and formed a mysterious sword formation that charged at Duguqiubai. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He did not choose to help but continued to observe. These people were probably no match for Duguqiubai, but Ling Xiao felt that something was wrong. Could it be that the blood-robed boy still had some tricks up his sleeve? Whoosh! Duguqiubai's eyes opened as a blazing sword light pierced through the sky. An ancient sword appeared in his hand and he slashed out. Instantly, billions of sword lights were formed. It was terrifying to the extreme and contained an incomparably vast amount of destructive power. Senior Dugu's destruction sword Dao is getting stronger. Ling Xiao praised. He could feel the vast sword will contained within the sword. It was a power that could shake the heavens and earth, capable of destroying everything. It was much stronger than when he was in the war god realm. Duguqiubai must have had a great opportunity to hone his swordsmanship in the divine world. One could imagine how powerful Duguqiubai's life sword Wei was. Once he became a saint with destruction sword way and life sword way, he would definitely become a terrifying sword saint. The sky was filled with sword lights, causing the void to tremble violently. The black-robed experts were all from the Ghost Devil clan. They were extremely powerful and formed a sword formation that could even threaten a half-saint. However, they were overshadowed by Duguchilbai's sword. The sword formation was torn apart by the sword lights. The black-robed experts were like paper as they were slashed into a mist of blood by the sword lights. Although they were all perfected divine kings, the dozen or so ghost devils couldn't even withstand a single slash from Duguchilbai. Ling Xiao praised in his heart. He could feel the destructive power contained within Duguchilbai's sword. However, the blood-robed boy didn't seem to care about the dozen ghost devils being killed by Duguchilbai. Instead, his eyes flashed with crimson light. Boom! The crimson altar beneath him began to tremble violently. The flesh and blood of the dozen or so ghost demons that Duguchilbai had killed were attracted to the altar and flew toward him. The blood-red altar trembled, causing even the sky to tremble violently. Faintly, mysterious ghostly figures spread out from all directions. Duguchilbai, have a taste of the ghost dragon blood formation that I've prepared for you. The blood-robed boy sneered. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Boom! As blood-red runes spread out from his palm, the power of the entire blood-red altar exploded. Beams of blood-red divine light shot up into the sky and covered the sun. Roar! 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 A series of bloodthirsty dragon roars exploded between the heavens and the earth. The blood-red divine light turned into huge blood-red dragons that were tens of thousands of feet long. There were a total of 81 blood-red dragons, enveloping the entire chaotic demon ridge. In an instant, the entire area was covered by the ancient ominous formation. The ghost dragon blood formation was one of the most powerful formations of the ancient clan. The blood-robed boy chose to cultivate here for two reasons. 1. To break through to the next realm and recover his cultivation. 2. To lure Duguchilbai into the ghost dragon blood formation. Is this your trump card? Duguchilbai's expression was still very calm. His body was surrounded by dazzling sword light. He stood in the sky. Even though he was surrounded by beams of blood-red light, and the 81 blood-red dragons were extremely terrifying. Each of the blood-red dragons had the power of a half-saint. It was extremely terrifying. However, Duguchilbai's expression did not change at all. Ling Xiao could feel the terror of the ghost dragon blood formation. Those blood-red dragons seemed to be able to devour all life. Moreover, the surrounding sky was filled with an invisible poison that seemed to want to drill into one's primordial spirit. In an instant, the countless ancient trees and plants in the mountain range withered and were sucked dry of life. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He restrained his aura even more and used the sky-shrouding secret technique to observe the secrets of the ghost dragon blood formation. He wanted to find a flaw to help Duguchilbai break the formation. Of course not. Duguchilbai, there are many people who want you dead. The blood-robed boy sneered. Crack! In an instant, a dazzling door of light opened above the blood-red altar. Two figures appeared from the door of light. Both of them had powerful auras and were filled with faint holy light. It's Xuehua. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply. One of the two figures was a black-robed young man with a strange saber on his back. His aura was extremely sharp. He was a one-revolution half-saint. It was Xuehua, whom Ling Xiao had met before. The other black-robed young man was slender and handsome. He had a pair of phoenix eyes that were extremely long and narrow. He exuded an extremely feminine aura. His cultivation was much stronger than Xuehua's. He had reached the two-revolution half-saint realm. Guchen. So you've colluded with the Ghost Demon Clan. Chapter 1599. Duguchilbai, today is the day you die. As long as you die, no one will know that I colluded with the Ghost Devil Clan. You can only blame yourself for standing in my way. So, I can only ask you to die. Gu Chen's eyes glinted as he said with a faint smile. I've never thought of competing with you for anything in the Hero Alliance. You're still the young Alliance Master. It's just that you're too narrow-minded. Dugu Qiubai said calmly. You don't want to compete with me? Ha ha ha. Dugu Qiubai, stop pretending. If you don't want to be the young Alliance Master of the Hero Alliance, why did Master want to make you the young Alliance Master? Why? You're just an outsider. Master wanted to take you as a disciple, but you refused. Why do you want to replace me? Gu Chen let out a hearty laugh as his expression became somewhat ferocious. It's not up to me to decide what the old man thinks. I've said before that I'll leave the Hero Alliance sooner or later. But now, it seems that you colluded with the Ghost Devil clan just to kill me. What a disappointment. Dugu Qiubai sighed softly. Humph. Dugu Qiubai, stop pretending. Why do Master like you, Junior Sister like you, and everyone else like you when you're in the Hero Alliance? Why do you want to take away my young Alliance Master? I want you dead, and no one can save you today. Gu Chen's eyes flashed with a crazy killing intent. His aura filled the air, and a terrifying saint light enveloped his entire body. Gu Chen was a cautious person. He knew Dugu Qiubai's incredible talent. So, even though he was a second revolution half-saint, he didn't think of killing Dugu Qiubai by himself. So, not only did he contact Shuehua, but he also contacted the blood-robed boy to set up a trap in the chaotic demon ridge. Now, Dugu Qiubai had indeed fallen into the trap. I didn't expect Senior Dugu to be caught in this power struggle. The Hero Alliance? Hee. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed with a strange look. How could he not see through Gu Chen's thoughts? Gu Chen was a prideful man, but now, he was so envious of Dugu Qiubai that he didn't mind colluding with the ghost demons to kill Dugu Qiubai. One could see how much Dugu Qiubai had hurt Gu Chen. However, Ling Zhao and Dugu Qiubai's talents were terrifying. Dugu Qiubai was the only 10 extremities genius in the War God world's history other than Ling Zhao. Ling Zhao had the wordless heavenly book, but Dugu Qiubai had relied on his own talent in the sword Dao. Is that so? Could it be that you think you can kill me with a mere ghost dragon blood formation and the few of you? Dugu Qiubai smirked with disdain. The sword will around him rose to the extreme. Behind him, endless chaotic light exploded. A black and a white sword will intertwine like a black and white dragon, turning into an extremely mysterious sword light. In an instant, the entire ghost dragon blood array began to shake violently. Dugu Qiubai, you're still so stubborn even when you're about to die. Brothers, let's kill him together. Gu Chen's eyes were filled with murderous intent, and his face was twisted. Saintly aura filled the air around him, and a furnace of fire seemed to have appeared in his palm. It poured down in an instant, turning into towering flames that shrouded Dugu Qiubai. This was Gu Chen's way of heaven and earth furnace. When cultivated to the extreme, he could turn into a furnace that contained all the true fires in the world. It was extremely terrifying. Gu Chen really hated Dugu Qiubai, so he used the killer move of the way of heaven and earth furnace. No matter how talented you are, you won't be able to survive the ancestors' ghost dragon blood formation. The blood-robed boy smiled sinisterly. Ghostly shadows spread around him. A shrill howl was heard, as if it could pierce through one's primordial spirit. He also rushed toward Dugu Qiubai. Boom! Shuehua, on the other hand, was surrounded by thunderbolts. He pulled out the strange saber on his back. Purple thunderbolts filled the air, exuding a horrifying aura of destruction. The vast saber light slashed toward Dugu Qiubai with unparalleled ferocity. Divine Firmament Destructive Lightning Dao. Shuehua also knew how terrifying Dugu Qiubai was from Gu Chen. Therefore, he also used the Divine Firmament Destructive Lightning Dao. Together with his ferocious sword intent, it seemed like it could shatter heaven and earth. In an instant, the three of them charged toward Dugu Qiubai. Roar! At the same time, the blood-red dragons around them roared and formed an extremely mysterious domain. It was as if the void had frozen. Countless streaks of blood-red light flowed and spread out like a blood-red curtain. They intertwined with Duguchilbai in the center, wanting to devour his life essence. Duguchilbai's eyes were still as calm as ever. He stood in the center of the ghost dragon blood formation in the face of the terrifying murderous intent that was as vast as the ocean. It seemed like he would be turned into dust at any time. However, he was as straight as a sword, exuding an indestructible aura. Buzz! A beam of sword light shone, becoming more and more dazzling in an instant. It was as if the sun had just been born, shining with boundless divine light. Duguchilbai had made his move. He simply stabbed out with his sword, but vigorous vitality burst forth. It contained an extremely vast sword intent. In an instant, it swept away all the flames in the sky and enveloped Gu Chen, Shuehua, and the blood-robed boy. You're courting death. Gu Chen's eyes turned cold. He did not expect Duguchilbai to be so arrogant that he still wanted to fight the three of them at the same time. Flames spurted out from his palm, and a heaven and earth cauldron appeared. It suppressed Duguchilbai's sword. Clang! Sparks flew everywhere. The heaven and earth cauldron was like some kind of powerful weapon. It deflected Duguchilbai's sword and came crashing down on him. At the same time, the flames in the sky intertwined into a huge net and enveloped Duguchilbai. Swoosh! Sword intent surged around Duguchilbai as he soared into the sky. The sword light pierced through the sky and the net of flames. Then, it pierced through the heaven and earth cauldron as well. The terrifying sword will spread towards Gu Chen, annihilating all the flames in the sky. Then, it exploded on Gu Chen's chest with a boom. Gu Chen groaned and could not help but take a step back. Duguchilbai's sword was too sharp. Even though he was wearing a powerful defensive armor and his body had been tempered by the Nirvana tribulation, he was still injured by Duguchilbai's sword. Boom! Above Duguchilbai's head, wind and thunder rumbled. A blazing saber light wrapped in purple lightning slashed down from the sky with a monstrous aura. Chapter 1600. Just as Shuehua's blade was about to split Duguchilbai in half, Shuehua's eyes suddenly narrowed. Duguchilbai disappeared under his blade like a bubble. In the next moment, a sword light rose behind Shuehua, breaking through the heavy lightning and slashing down at him. Duguchilbai had appeared behind him without him noticing. Open! Shuehua roared and, without even thinking about it, pushed his Saint Chi, condensed a purple ball of world-extinguishing thunder in the palm of his hand, and shot it towards the incoming sword strike. Kacha! The dazzling sword light exploded and Shuehua was sent flying. The ball of lightning in his hand turned into a rain of light. His palm had been sliced off by Duguchilbai's sword. Whoosh! Duguchilbai took a step forward, as if he was not affected by the bloody light at all. He swung his sword at Shuehua's head, intending to kill him right there and then. At that moment, blood-red phantoms exploded around Duguchilbai, emitting sharp whistling sounds as they drilled into his knowledge sea between his eyebrows. The blood-robed boy appeared behind Duguchilbai and silently slammed his palm on Duguchilbai's back. Boom! A bloody light exploded. The blood-robed boy's face was filled with satisfaction as he disappeared into the void in an instant. Duguchilbai could not help but take a few steps back. His expression turned serious as he felt the bloody chi madly rushing into his body, trying to devour his vitality. Even though he had sealed all the pores on his body and unleashed a powerful sword intent to block the bloody energy around him, the blood-robed boy's method was very strange. He was still hit. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He felt that the ghost dragon blood array had undergone a mysterious change. The faces of the bloody dragons turned into the blood-robed boy and intertwined with each other to form a mysterious domain. It exuded an extremely powerful spatial fluctuation as it pressed down on Duguchilbai. At the same time, the blood-robed boy shuttled through the ghost dragon blood formation as if he could teleport. He kept on launching sneak attacks on Duguchilbai. It was clear that the blood-robed boy knew how powerful Duguchilbai's swordsmanship was, which was why he never faced him head-on. He would often sneak attack and then retreat. He was trying to wear down Dugachilbai's strength. Rumble. The blood-red energy spread out silently. It was formless and invisible, as if no one had noticed it at all. Not only did it move toward Dugachilbai, but some of it also enveloped Gu Chen and Shuehua, as if it was stealing their vitality. This blood-robed boy is up to no good. He even schemed against Shuehua and Gu Chen. It's funny that these two fellows want to collude with the Ghost Devil clan to deal with Dugachilbai. I'm afraid they will die even if they kill Dugachilbai. Ling Xiao sneered in his heart. With a flash, he moved toward the depths of the Ghost Dragon Blood Formation silently. Ling Xiao had almost finished studying the Ghost Dragon Blood Formation and found its weakness. It was the blood-red altar. As long as he could destroy the altar, the Ghost Dragon Blood Formation would collapse on its own. Whoosh! A dazzling sword light shot across the sky. It contained a vast amount of destructive power and was extremely sharp. It broke through the layers of lightning and cut off one of Shuehua's arms. Dugachilbai's eyes became sharper and sharper. While he was wary of the blood-robed boy's sneak attacks, he attacked Gu Chen and Shuehua fiercely. He's only at the Great Divine King realm, yet he has such terrifying battle prowess. I must kill him today. Gu Chen's eyes were filled with fear, and his attacks became even more ruthless. The power of the Saint Wei around him intertwined, turning into transparent flames that spread toward Dugachilbai. Although he was a second revolution half-saint, he still felt like he had no chance of winning against Dugachilbai. Boom! Sword chi filled the sky, causing the surrounding sky to tremble violently. Light flashed through Dugachilbai's eyes. The Destruction Sword Wei and Life Sword Wei erupted at the same time. They turned into two intertwining sword lights, one black and one white. They directly shot toward Shuehua and Gu Chen. Shuehua and Gu Chen's faces changed drastically. They could sense a fatal threat from the attack. They unleashed their strongest attacks at the same time, sending a cauldron of the world and a wave of purple lightning towards Dugachilbai. At the same time, the two of them quickly retreated. Crack! The black and white sword light seemed to contain the most original power of the Way of the Sword. It could destroy everything. In an instant, it destroyed the heaven and earth furnace and the purple lightning of destruction. Then, it slashed Shuehua and Gu Chen. A divine light barrier erupted from their bodies, and then it instantly exploded. The two of them were sent flying, and blood spurted from their mouths. Their auras also became incomparably weak. If it weren't for the defensive treasures on their bodies, they would have been killed by this sword strike. At that moment, the blood-robed boy seemed to have discovered Dugachilbai's weakness. Streaks of blood-red light suddenly erupted, weaving into a huge blood-red net that instantly wrapped around Dugachilbai's body. The blood-robed boy pounced forward. Ghostly shadows filled the air as blood-red chi surged, trying to invade Dugachilbai's body. Something's not right. The blood-robed boy's body suddenly trembled. He felt that although Dugachilbai had a boundless life force, there were no ripples of origin spirit at all. Instead, he was filled with terrifying destructive power. The blood-robed boy's heart skipped a beat. He immediately wanted to dissipate without thinking. Boom! Dugachilbai's body suddenly exploded like a dazzling sun, spewing out billions of sword lights. The sword lights were extremely sharp. They instantly pierced through the blood-robed boy's body, leaving behind huge bloody holes. He was then turned into a bloody mist. Ah! Damn it! The blood-robed boy's exasperated voice rang out in the air. However, his body instantly disappeared and reappeared in the distance. Dugachilbai, you deserve to die. In this ghost dragon blood formation, I am immortal. No one can kill me. The blood-robed boy's eyes darkened as he stared at Dugachilbai. Dugachilbai's figure appeared. The sword intent around him weakened a little, but his eyes became even more dazzling. In order to trick the blood-robed boy earlier, he did not hesitate to use half of his power as bait to form a destructive sword. Unfortunately, the blood-robed boy still managed to escape in the end. Rumble. However, as soon as the blood-robed boy finished speaking, the blood-red light that filled the sky seemed to explode. The blood-red dragons also slowly dissipated. The ghost dragon blood formation began to disintegrate at a speed visible to the naked eye. Immortal? What if the ghost dragon blood formation is gone? Chapter 1601. Rumble. The blood chi in the air dissipated. Ling Xiao walked out of the void with a calm look in his eyes. Where he stood was where the blood-red altar used to be. However, the altar had already disappeared. It was because of the altar's disappearance that the ghost dragon blood formation had collapsed. Who are you? Where did the altar go? The blood-robed boy stared at Ling Xiao in disbelief. Of course it went to where it should go. Ling Xiao smiled faintly with a calm look in his eyes. The blood-colored altar contained a vast amount of blood-colored energy, which was very attractive to the wordless heavenly book. Therefore, Ling Xiao used the wordless heavenly book to devour the blood-colored altar. Before the blood-robed boy could even react, the blood-colored altar had already disappeared. Long Outyen. Shui Hua's body trembled as a look of extreme shock appeared in his eyes. He never thought that he would see Ling Xiao here. Senior brother Shui, long time no see. You must be here to kill me, right? Since I'm here, you won't have to look for me. Why don't we settle this here? Ling Xiao said faintly with a sharp look in his eyes. Long Outyen, long time no see. Dugu Qiubai was slightly surprised as well. The ghost dragon blood formation had indeed caused him a lot of trouble. Moreover, it had made the blood-robed boy almost immortal. If Ling Xiao had not destroyed the ghost dragon blood formation, the battle would have been very difficult. Senior Dugu, what a coincidence. That Guchen wants to kill you, and this senior brother Shui wants to kill me. Why don't we work together and send them off? Colluding with the ghost demon clan, they really don't know what's good for them. Ling Xiao smiled at Dugu Qiubai. No problem. They all deserve to die. Dugu Qiubai nodded as the sword radiance in his eyes burned brightly. Human ant, you think too highly of yourself. So what if you destroy the ghost dragon blood formation with your mere early divine king cultivation? You still have to die. The blood-robed boy's face darkened as his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. You talk too much. Let's see who lives and who dies with our fists. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. His eyes shone brightly as he threw a punch at the blood-robed child. Crack! Blazing lightning enveloped Ling Xiao's fist, forming a chaotic fist print. It was extremely ferocious as it charged towards the blood-robed boy. Die, brat! The blood-robed child's eyes were extremely red. He turned into a blood-red shadow and lunged at Ling Xiao. His silhouette was like a ghost. He wanted to avoid Ling Xiao's punch and directly absorb the essence of Ling Xiao's flesh and blood. He could feel the strength of Ling Xiao's flesh and blood. It was an unimaginable temptation to him. Boom! However, Ling Xiao's fist immediately exploded in the air. Bolts of lightning shot up, containing the most terrifying destructive power. A mysterious figure seemed to appear, slamming a palm towards the boy. The blood-red light that filled the sky exploded, and the blood-robed boy's afterimages were instantly reduced to dust. However, he was already in front of Ling Xiao. His eyes were filled with coldness, and he was about to pounce into Ling Xiao's body. Rumble! However, extremely scorching lightning suddenly surged out from Ling Xiao's body. The heaven-devouring flames extended over as well. The lightning and flames fused together, forming an extremely terrifying destructive power. The blood-robed child was directly struck by the lightning and flames. He was reduced to a bloody mist in a single instance. He produced a sharp shriek as he tried to flee. Stay here! Killing intent shone in Ling Xiao's eyes. He threw a punch, and an extremely powerful fist intent erupted. It was like a supreme emperor that could sweep through the 9 heavens. It was extremely vicious. The bloody mist churned. It wanted to condense, but it exploded again in a single instance. Swish! Only a tiny part of the mist was not destroyed. It escaped, turning back into the blood-robed child. However, he seemed much weaker now. Human ant, you should die. The blood-robed child's face was extremely ugly. He even found it rather difficult to believe. The early God King Brat's battle prowess was just too terrifying. Moreover, his body was extremely tough, basically the leakless true body. His blood-red energy was unable to affect Ling Xiao at all. Swish! Swish! On the other side, Shui Hua and Gu Chen were coughing out blood continuously. They tried their best to hold on under Dugu Qiubai's unparalleled sword intent, but they began to retreat as if they would be killed by Dugu Qiubai at any time. A sliver of fear and retreating appeared within them. Dugu Qiubai and Long Outyan were too terrifying. They actually managed to break through such a trap. At this moment, they were no longer thinking about how to kill the two of them. They were only thinking about how to escape and save their lives. Ling Xiao seemed to have seen through their thoughts. His hand shone resplendently, and a mysterious light enveloped the entire mountain range. It turned into a powerful barrier that shone with the light of the Saint Ways. Prison Talisman. This was a treasure that Ling Xiao had obtained from the twin killers of Mabe. Although it was not a complete saint talisman, Shui Hua, Gu Chen, and the blood-robed child could not escape immediately. They were like turtles in a jar. Their faces immediately became extremely ugly. Kill! Ling Xiao's eyes were extremely sharp. His Qilin arm was filled with a mysterious purple aura that contained an extremely violent power. He threw a terrifying punch at the blood-robed child. Rumble! The vast fist intent enveloped the entire area. It was as if the punch was everywhere and wanted to turn everything into dust. The blood-robed child's face changed drastically. He could feel the terrifying power contained in the punch. It was not something he could withstand. He suddenly screamed and spat out a mouthful of blood. His figure became extremely blurry. Heavenly Ghost Sacred Technique. A blood-red fist mark rose from behind him. It contained an ancient and mysterious fluctuation as it went toward Ling Xiao. Boom! The blood-robed child was forced into a corner. The power of this punch was extremely terrifying, and it directly exploded in the void. Blood-colored divine light spread out in all directions, causing cracks to appear in the sky. Ling Xiao was also forced back. However, the blood-robed child's figure had become extremely blurry. It was as if he would disappear into the void at any time. His face was extremely ugly, and there was even a hint of fear. Puff! Puff! On the other side, Dugu Qiubai's heaven-piercing sword light split the world. It was eternal and contained an indestructible sharpness. It also destroyed Gu Chen and Shui Hua's bodies. The blazing sword light condensed in the void like a vast sword formation. It enveloped Gu Chen and Shui Hua's souls. Their faces changed drastically, and they did not dare to move at all. As long as that sword light fell, their souls would instantly scatter. I admit defeat. The blood-robed child said through gritted teeth. His eyes were filled with reluctance. Chapter 1602. Admit defeat. Humans and demons walk different paths. We are mortal enemies. Do you think we will let you go just because you admit defeat? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. His eyes were blazing with sharpness. The engraving talisman formed a huge barrier that enveloped the entire chaotic demon ridge. It contained an extremely powerful saint path aura to prevent them from escaping. Although the blood-robed boy appeared and disappeared unpredictably, without the ghost dragon blood array and his escape route was cut off, he actually admitted defeat. Don't be in a hurry to reject me. I'm just a nobody. Even if you kill me, it won't do you any good. However, if you let me go, I'll tell you something. It's about the ancient saint's inheritance. The blood-robed boy gritted his teeth. The ancient saint's inheritance? Ling Xiao and Dugu Qiubai's eyes flashed. The mythical space was an ancient battlefield. Many experts had fallen here, but many people had also found great opportunities here. It wasn't as if no one had obtained the ancient saint's inheritance. The inheritance of a saint did sound very tempting. That's right. I see that you cultivate the Thunder Dao, right? That ancient saint is a Thunder Dao saint. Not only will he have the strongest Thunder Dao Saint technique, but he will also have a powerful Thunder Dao Saint treasure. If you let me go, you can obtain the inheritance of an ancient saint. Why not? The blood-robed boy smiled faintly. His voice was filled with temptation. All right. Tell me the information about the ancient saint's inheritance, and I'll spare your life. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. His expression was very calm. You have to swear a great heart demon oath that you will let me leave safely and not pursue me. Otherwise, don't even think about getting any information about the ancient saint's inheritance. The blood-robed boy saw that Ling Xiao was a little tempted. Only then did he relax slightly and say coldly. All right, I'll swear a great heart demon oath now, Ling Xiao said without any hesitation. The blood-robed boy was already distracted by Ling Xiao and did not notice a weak ray of light appearing behind him in an instant. Then, it exploded. Rumble. Boom. Heaven and earth trembled. It was a mysterious figure shrouded in dazzling lightning. It launched a destructive attack at the blood-robed boy. Ah! Despicable human, you went back on your word. The blood-robed boy's face changed drastically. By the time he sensed the danger, it was already too late to dodge. The figure slammed into his body, and lightning filled the sky, tearing his body to pieces. However, within the blood-red light, the boy's soul was wrapped up by a strange, black, ghostly aura. He frantically fled, wanting to break out of the barrier. His face was filled with incomparably twisted and furious expression as he roared madly. Don't think that you can hide your little tricks from me. Today, you will definitely die. Even if you have the heritage of an ancient sage, I'll still search your soul after I capture you. Ling Xiao sneered. Killing intent surged from his eyes as he threw a punch at the boy. He had already noticed earlier that the boy had used the heritage of an ancient sage to attract his attention. In reality, he was using some kind of secret technique to break out of the barrier and escape. Ling Xiao played along. He used the heaven-shrouding secret technique and the Lightning Emperor technique to condense a clone of the Lightning Emperor. He silently launched a fatal attack at the boy. Not only did he completely destroy the boy's secret technique, but he also heavily injured him. Damned human! I curse you! I curse you to die a horrible death for all of your lifetimes. The blood-robed child's eyes were filled with resentment as he roared at Ling Xiao. At the same time, ghostly aura rose around him as a terrifying power erupted. Seeing that there was no hope for him to escape, he actually wanted to self-destruct his soul. However, Ling Xiao was already prepared. Boom! Golden light poured out of Ling Xiao's palm like a divine chain of order. It immediately sealed up the boy's soul. It even contained a sliver of the wordless Heaven Tome's power, directly causing the boy to stiffen. He was unable to move. His eyes were filled with terror as he was completely devoured by Ling Xiao in an instant. It was not difficult for Ling Xiao to refine a mere soul with the heaven-devouring secret technique, not to mention the power of the wordless Heaven Tome. In the blink of an eye, the boy completely disappeared from the sky. His soul had dispersed. Gu Chen and Xue Hua both shivered as their eyes were filled with extreme fear. Dugu Qiubai, if you dare to kill me, Master won't let you go. Gu Chen said fiercely. Although his face was filled with anger and viciousness, there was still a sliver of unconcealable fear in his eyes. He knew that Dugu Qiubai was merciless, so he immediately used his master to pressure Dugu Qiubai. Dugu Qiubai was greatly indebted to his master, so he believed that Dugu Qiubai would be cautious even if he attacked. He does like you a lot. If I kill you, he might be unhappy, Dugu Qiubai muttered to himself as if he was hesitating. Seeing Dugu Qiubai's hesitation, Gu Chen was overjoyed. He quickly said, Dugu Qiubai, as long as you let me go, I'll pretend that nothing happened today. you'll be the young alliance master from now on. I'm willing to support you. It's not impossible for the Hero Alliance to become the 13th immortal sanctuary in the future. Although Gu Chen pretended to be sincere, he was determined to kill Dugu Qiubai as long as he could escape alive today, even if he had to send out high-level half-saints to kill Dugu Qiubai to vent his anger. Puff! However, a dazzling sword light suddenly bloomed. It was like the first light of dawn, containing the majestic power of growth. Flowing light drizzled and crushed Gu Chen's soul. He might not be happy, but you still have to die. Dugu Qiubai said indifferently as he sheathed his sword. He did not even look at Gu Chen. It was as if he had casually crushed an ant. His eyes were extremely calm. Senior Dugu is decisive. I admire you. Ling Xiao said with a smile. He's from the War God Shrine. I'll leave him to you. Dugu Qiubai glanced at Shui Hua and said indifferently. In the blink of an eye, the blood-robed boy and Gu Chen were both dead. Only Shui Hua was left. Shui Hua shuddered and immediately knelt down in front of Ling Xiao. He begged loudly, Junior Brother Long, I was wrong. I was wrong. I shouldn't have been blinded by lard. Junior Brother Long, you're a genius. I was foolish. As long as you let me go, I promise that I won't be your enemy in the future. I'll follow your lead. Shui Hua was completely terrified. His body was trembling violently. Those who collude with the demon race will be killed without mercy,